Run the intro. Alright guys, welcome to Dope Check episode number 35. We are back from Madrid, and what a weekend it was. We got super chats in the chat already. FaZe take the victory this weekend in genuinely one of the greatest finals we've ever seen in the history of competitive Call of Duty. Game 5, round 11 in the winners finals. Game 7, round 11 in the grand finals. Is any team capable of taking down either of these two squads? We had beef in the grand finals, DRAZAH versus Scrap getting into it yet again. OpTic with a very disappointing tournament going in as the #1 seed. There is plenty to discuss with these fine gentlemen today. Trey, it was a pleasure to spend the weekend with you, as always, in the heart of Madrid. We've got plenty to discuss about the event as well, the return to Europe after 5 years, whether we can be doing this one again, and Ace from the comfort of the Abedi Institute out there in LA, waking up at 5:30 in the morning to watch the matches, were you not?
Absolutely. It was a fantastic weekend. One of the better ones. Even watching from home, a lot of storylines wrote themselves. A lot of OpTic ones, C9 ones, Boston Breach ones, FaZe ones, Thieves ones. It's the exact start to a year that I wanted for this show, for the scene, for everything else. I think we're getting exactly that. So I'm excited to be here today and talk about everything that's happening. I'm real excited.
How are we, everyone? Wow. Listen. It was cold in Madrid. Everyone was liking the fits. Everyone was liking the interviews. Someone said I was on Ozempic. I wasn't. I'm not. I've actually gotten fatter. Listen, I had a great time over there. I appreciate all the love to everyone showed to Breaking Point. Me, myself, Rab, Ace, we got a lot of gas at the event from everyone down there. If anything, this event has proved one thing about this show. Can any of you two tell me what it is?
We might be worldwide.
I'm never wrong.
Oh shit, he's never wrong.
Oh, God, man.
Well.
Here we go, bro.
And you go and find out why.
Spanish fans might have something to say about that. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to talk about the... Oh, my God. Trey's ripping the Pepsi bags. We are so back. I wanted to get into a little bit about the event here, right? Because, this is tweet #1. I don't know if you've done a tweet actually, Lion, but if you haven't, I can do it. Because I know that Simeon's not around for the day, but the show's officially live. OpTic, I mean, I love this caption, right? Because here they are walking around Madrid, lost in Madrid, and people were quote tweeting this after the Friday saying, damn right, they were lost. These guys had no idea what they were doing on the map. But we'll get into that today. I always find it interesting because being from Europe and the fact that we can get to these cities, Trey, in a couple of hours on a plane. Like, the Americans that come over here, they're like, oh my God, there's so much history, so much culture, like, what's going on? This church was built in, like, the 12th century. So it was pretty cool to see, and the pro. I
that's because they don't have any history over there. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Brand new.
That's what I'm saying. Ace, you can give your
yeah,
take
it's
if
not
you like.
dirty and grimy like it is over there.
There we go. It's
Listen,
a good
ain't no one going
1100 doing up here.
Ain't no one pulling up to Ohio to check out some tourist attractions. They're pulling up to Madrid, and let me tell you, Madrid was fire.
Yeah, Madrid. Honestly, I think if I had to choose between Madrid or Barcelona, I'd go Barcelona. I think. But Madrid actually did impress me. I think that where we were in Madrid, there's better parts of Madrid than where the event venue was. But yeah, Madrid itself was top quality. I know that the pros who got a chance to explore, I'm sure, had a good time. And after the first day, the weather was absolutely gorgeous. Okay, it wasn't particularly warm, but, it is what it is. We're going to talk a bit about the event, though.
It was nice, but it wasn't gorgeous.
Yeah, okay. It was sunny. Yeah. All I'm saying is I left Madrid today. There was not a cloud in the sky. And as I come back through the clouds in Manchester today, it's pissing down with rain. And it's just stopped recently. So you know what? I'm going to give Spain its gas for that one. But
hey, the first thing I come home to, by the way, I woke up this morning. I look outside my window, and the house across the street is on fire.
What are you saying?
Back.
I woke up to the smell of smoke, and I was like, "Is my PC on fire? What's going on here?" I look outside. My whole street is just covered in smoke. So what the fuck's going on here? I look outside. This whole roof's on fire. The whole family's outside. I'm thinking, I'm going back. I'm going back to fucking bed.
We're gonna say go back to Madrid, get back on a plane. Yeah, this is one of the days it was actually cloudy here. But okay, let's talk a bit about the event. First event back in Europe for 5 years. It was a pleasure to be there. So many lads from the UK that I met, from Ireland. Obviously, there's a lot of Spaniards there, local to Madrid, come through for the event. And let's be honest here, the fan base that really made the event were the green suits or whatever, right? Like these fellas, the fans from the Gentlemates roster, they came through in force this weekend. It was actually spectacular to witness this because I've seen the pictures of the Gentlemates fan base in other sports playing in tournaments in France. The fact that there was like 500 of them flew out for a team that, let's be honest, ain't even very good. Imagine if they were actually good, it would be different gravy. And there's about 500 of these guys just proper. I mean, you can even just look at it right here and hear some of the audio in the background. This is where they would meet up for the day. So this is like pre-match day. I don't even know if they were playing on this day. That's the funny thing. Like they generally weren't even playing.
It's like Marseille Ultras.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like PSG Ultras or something like that. You can hear them across the way. Listen, if we have an event in the UK, that might be like Millwall Leeds away.
It might be unreal.
That might be a scrap. I might have to get myself involved. Like me and Rab on the front line running a good old fucking football hooligan scrap. But they were crazy, and the Heretics fans were actually crazy too.
That is true. They were also going hard.
From home, again, watching from home, it did look kind of crazy, especially like whenever I saw Gentlemates play, or even when OpTic were playing, the energy in the crowd looked like they were like more engaged compared to the American crowd. So I'm sure it was crazy walking up, seeing them, the fans, how excited they are to finally have COD back in Europe. It's we got to get back there, I think, once a year. I think it should be a standard, at least even if it hurts viewership a little bit. We should be in Europe at least once a year, no matter what.
Yeah, I think that's the next point, right? So this event was in Madrid, and I mentioned it in the pre-show, but I'll mention it again now because, I remember. The ticket sales for this event, as far as I'm aware, the most tickets were sold to the UK. So the most amount of fans there were Brits who'd flown over for the event. The second most were the French, as in the Gentlemates Ultras, who were there instead. And then the third most, I think, were the Spanish. That's my understanding. It may not be true. And I don't know the specific numbers on that. It may be very close between all three. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure that despite the fact that the event was in Spain, and Spain have a COD team, and they played really well this event, and there were fans there, like, don't get it twisted at all. But it's not like the Spanish COD scene in terms of fan base is massive and big enough to support an event like this on its own. Because this was a big venue. Like, for those that went to Champs, the main area was pretty similar to Champs. But, maybe we had 3,500 people there on the Sunday rather than the 7,000 people you'd need to fill that full arena. You can do that in Dallas. You can probably do it in London. You can certainly do it in a few American cities, but you probably can't do it in Madrid as it stands. Well, I mean, you can't do it in Madrid because otherwise it would have happened. So yeah. I think that's why there's some questions. Like, this event was in many ways amazing. It was so good to be back on European soil. I know that a lot of the pros absolutely loved their time out there, and the fans were great. It was like so loud in the arena. Although the arena wasn't full, it doesn't mean that it wasn't like loud, and the like drama and rivalry between the French fans and the Spanish and like a lot of the British OpTic fans in the middle was brilliant to witness. But I think the league should be looking at this and saying, okay, this really proves a European event can work and people will show up for it, but maybe we need to do it in a different country next year.
It has to be the UK.
You do it. I was like, do it in the UK.
UK or Paris, either or doesn't matter. I feel like it's easier for people from the UK to get to France anyway. It's just a train or Eurostar, whatever you want to do it.
Yeah.
And then I'm actually kind of shocked that there wasn't more Spanish love. Like, we've hosted an event in Madrid, and there wasn't that many Spanish fans there. I can't lie, there really wasn't.
Interesting.
Everywhere I walked around the corner, it was an Irish, a Scotsman, an Englishman, or a French person. There was a few Americans there too. Germans. It was very widespread, like European wise. But you know, if you go to an event in London, you know you're gonna get like 90% people from the UK there. You go to France, it's gonna be the same thing. In Madrid, I just didn't feel like it was. Like Rab said, you can't host an event, and you wouldn't look at this and go, right, Spain is the place to host another COD event.
So something about it was underwhelming to you guys, like in terms of just the actual showing up of Spanish fans to the venue, seeing them there every day. It wasn't what it should be.
I think it was underwhelming to everyone, though. Like,
I mean, like,
think
for
when
example, this is footage, like what you're talking, Trey, like in the background here, this is after Miami won and secured top 4 for Sunday. This was like the fans were kind of giving them a bit of a guard of honor or whatever. But General Mates fans did a bigger one of these for their team that just plays top 12, right?
Yeah, it's not that many people, actually. Surprising.
Maybe they didn't know it was happening, but sorry, go on, Trey.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like for European events, you know, the UK is probably the hub to have like an outstanding event fan wise and stuff like that. And then you've got like, you know, Gentle Mates with the Paris fans and the French fans. They always go crazy. I just personally, to me, I thought an event in Madrid would be like, you know, everyone would be like crazy. But when people were saying like the EU fans are insane, they are, but it's not like we've had it before. This is probably, you know, it's probably the worst EU event in terms of fan base wise.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation. I think like, I mean, there's not been one in 5 years, so that is, I guess, the first.
That's why I thought it'd go crazy.
Yeah, I hear you. And to be fair, the amount of people that flew out from the UK, and there's so many Irish lads there, you know, Scots, Brits, like everyone was there. It was great, but also at the end of the day, not everyone's gonna fly out for an event, right? It's easier to get a train to London or whatever, right? Or get train to Paris or whatever.
But like, well, I have a devil's advocate take here. But if it's in the UK, the people who wanted to go from the UK, if they were that about it, could have taken a $100 flight to Madrid. I'm saying. So why do we think if we took the next event, let's say to the UK, do we think there'd be more people there?
You've also got to understand that people like, you know, got jobs and shit like that.
Yeah, especially you know, turning up. Some people, I guess, just did turn up for the weekend, made it a long weekend or something like that.
Yeah.
My thing is that you have an event in the UK. If people can't make it Thursday, Friday, you know, they can come Saturday, Sunday, and still make it home for work Monday. They ain't gonna fly out to a different country to go, you know, go watch a team like OpTic, and you know, come back like that. It's just.
But I don't think we should like under-rep how many people actually were at the event though, because like obviously you were at Boston last year, Ace. Like there was more people at this event than there were at Boston last year, like 100%.
And that was a lot. And like when you were sitting in that event, it looked packed. It looked like it was.
Yeah, so it's just like if the arena was smaller, it would have looked better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's
the
sure.
thing.
Yeah. My thing was just like noise in the venue though. Like 2019 London Black Ops 4 was insane.
That is true.
2019 London CDL, insane. Like the noise was crazy. World War II Birmingham, insane. EWC France, crazy. Or ESWC.
ESWC,
yeah. My thing is I'm comparing it to events that I've been to before, and I thought I've never been to Spain for an event, so maybe and I know the Spaniards are like, you know, crazy for COD and stuff like that. I just thought it'd be a lot crazier.
No, I definitely get that take. I think the takeaway from the leak though will be actually, I mean, there was a tweet from Daniel actually, on. Actually, is this the... Yeah, this is just a quick General Mates fans footage as well, just to share for you guys. Because, like, okay, there's empty seats here, which makes it look kind of... Not underwhelming, but you know what I'm saying. But also got to understand that these fans flew out for the weekend. Whatever, we could talk enough about that. There was a Daniel tweet.
Then you point the camera down, there's no one on the floor.
Yeah, it also depends on the time of day it was as well. But look, okay, we know that phase 1. I don't know if Daniel was there. I didn't actually see him there. I don't know if he did fly out for it.
I got told he was there.
Like, he must have been there because he did say it was.
I swear I would have seen him though.
Usually I would end up bumping into him if he's here, but yeah, maybe I managed to miss him this time. But yeah, he said the tournament was a special one. Our return to Europe was more than we ever expected. Thank you to our host Toronto and all the fans who made the Magic Box a truly magical place. Never seen such an energetic crowd. I don't know this one exactly, but like even as a European COD fan, I'd love to say that was true.
It was one. Listen, like I said, without the Gentlemates fans, and if there's any Gentlemates fans in here that actually went to the event or just cheer for their team. If anyone in it that wasn't that crowd, you guys are insane. You truly made that event realistic.
It's very rarely the case that you get like one fan base in the same arena cheering for their teams at the same time. I think that was probably what Daniel's getting at here. Really, is the idea of having, because usually most events is like, okay, they cheer for OpTic and maybe they cheer for like Clay's team or something, but apart from that, it ain't really all that. Whereas this event was very much, okay, until the finals where basically everyone was supporting Thieves because obviously FaZe are the villains and all that. But I think based on Daniel's reaction here, they will try and do it again. The question, of course, really is next, which org will run it in Europe? Because Toronto, they have half of their org is like Spanish with the Koi side, right? So that's why they did it here. And I think, they took a risk doing it, obviously, because they didn't really have a base in Spain. I think it's a risk that hopefully they'll feel like it paid off. I think the event was maybe not like 100% what they might have magically hoped it would be, but I think they'll be pretty satisfied with how it turned out here in Toronto, to be honest. But they may think about, and all of us probably would agree, that we should have a European event every year, and it can be in Spain again, but next time it should be in the UK or Paris. So either you get Gentlemates to host it in Paris, which apparently they wanted to. There was a rumor on this. I don't know if it's true, but there was a rumor that Gentlemates were going to host Major 4, which has now ended up in DreamHack in Dallas. And the CDL told them it was going to be Chicago, but then Gentlemates wanted to move it to Paris, and the CDL said, we ain't doing 2 events in Europe. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's why we may be in Dallas again. It's been confirmed now. Dallas for Major 4. But obviously, if Gentlemates wanted to do that last year, they'll probably want to do it the upcoming year. And unfortunately, for the likes of me wanting to have an event in the UK, I don't know which org's going to run it in the UK, unless the league does it themselves.
To me, the only org that I'd run it in the UK is OpTic.
Maybe.
UK.
Hex did tweet out maybe like a year ago.
Yeah.
Saying that he would love to have an event in the UK hosted by OpTic. But it's also got to make sense. OpTic could host an event anywhere and it'd still be their home event. I think it's just like cost-wise, because I feel like the UK would be a lot more expensive in terms of getting everyone out there for the league and stuff like that. But we know we know what Hex is like. He likes giving people what they want to see. He's that guy when it comes down to it. So it wouldn't surprise me in the next 2 years or so if we have a UK event and it's hosted by OpTic.
I would think Toronto again. I would think Toronto just takes this experience. I know they're half their base is there, but at the end of the day, your goal is to make money. Your goal is to throw a great event, make money, fill the seats, get at least some return for yourself and your organization. They have this experience now, right? In Madrid, I'm sure they learned a lot of things. I'm sure they're going to look at the numbers, analyze them, see the analytics, and take it from there. If the numbers we said are true, right? The UK is the #1 selling place. You have to kind of follow up. All right, we learned our lesson this time. We tried it at our home place, but ultimately the UK is where we got to be. So I don't think it'd be impossible, because if all the Spanish fans that want to come to the event could just fly over like you guys did and you had to do, the Spanish fans could do the same thing. So do it in the UK, make your money back, sell all the tickets, sell more tickets to the fans that want to see COD, and then the Spanish fans and stuff will make the way over. So I think Toronto actually does it.
Ultra doesn't have a Spanish fan base.
No, I understand exactly why I'm saying
That's why this event confused me.
Yeah, that's what Puckett was saying to me when I was on the desk, right? And he was like, if you had to say to a Koi fan, why this team, Toronto, is interesting. Like, that was a question he asked me, and obviously I talked about clinics and that, but the way that, after he asked me that, I was like, yeah, it's an interesting question, right? Because there are Spanish fans of Koi who kind of know that their organization is partnered with Toronto Ultra, but this team is full of, like, Brits, a Dane, and then, you know what I mean, like some Americans. Like, it's not really... It's tough to get behind that as a home team, right? So it's exactly what you say.
This was my thing. Like, obviously, they hosted it in Spain because of Koi and whatever like that. But it really wasn't a Toronto home event.
No, it wasn't at all. It didn't feel like one. It didn't.
Even when
play
Toronto
out
were
as one, it
even when
wasn't.
Toronto were playing, they didn't have a home crowd.
Yeah, not at all.
The UK actually makes more sense for Toronto because they've got Beans and Insight, and like, I think for a lot of UK fans, Toronto are close to, if not their favourites, apart from OpTic.
I mean, I think there's a lot of I think a lot of UK fans transitioned from the Ravens to Ultra.
I certainly, like, if I had to root for a team, I've always said that. So
I think it would make sense. I think they probably learned their lesson, and next year, again, just looking at pure ticket sales, go to the UK. Let's do it again. We'll run it. We'll be the one to step up and host it. Let's just do it in the UK so we make our money back and give the fans what they want.
we got some viewership numbers here as well. I think this is the other point, Ace, right? Is like, how did this compare? Because last year's first event was in... it was in Boston, am I tripping? Yeah, it was in Boston again.
Last year? Yeah, it was.
So, yeah, so these are the numbers compared to last year. How did OpTic do in Boston last year? The finals was what, Toronto FaZe last year? OpTic made it deep-ish.
Yeah, I think it was top 4, top 6.
Yeah, maybe
top
something
4?
like that. Actually, can't. Maybe it was top... Was it third? Yeah, it was top 4. It was fourth or third, one of the two.
Yeah.
And anyway, these are the numbers. So it's actually not that dissimilar. Like, I think the viewership didn't seem spectacular. And obviously this year we are getting like the Gentlemates buff, if you want to say it like that. But still, I mean, it peaked at about 235,000 viewers in the OpTic versus Gentlemates series, which was a top 12 series. It's kind of crazy to think about. That was down about 5% year on year. The average viewership was about 113K, which is down about 8% year on year. So it's not like, you know, it's not like this event was a flop or fell off or anything like that. I think there's a lot of people that would say, you know, maybe if it was real prime time on, let's say, Sunday night in the US time zone, then that FaZe Thieves match would have done more viewers than, maybe it deserved more than it got, if you see what I'm saying. But I don't think the viewership... yeah, go on.
I was going to say, I don't think it's going to do more. I just feel like it was a good time for all fan bases. If you wanted to watch the final, I just feel like LAG and OpTic are always going to have the most this year, regardless, just because of the, like you said, the LAG buff, the Gataga buff, and then the OpTic buff. Just to touch on what Fitzer put in the chat about Koi and Heretics hate each other, so they've done it to rub Heretics the wrong way. I did hear about that as well.
Yeah, they did.
I did hear that Koi absolutely despises Heretics and vice versa, and that, you know, running an event in Madrid would have been funny to, like, obviously that's not like the pure reason they done it, but
so Koi managed to host an event and give Heretics their best ever placing in the history of CDL, so congrats.
Yeah, it definitely backfired for sure. Definitely backfired. Definitely petty from Koi too, you know, which I love, you know. Fuck,
I love that. Yeah, pettiness, I'm here.
Yeah, but I'll say I agree with Trey that even if LAT FaZe was in the most prime time slot, even if that was a perfect time for, even if it was at exactly, let's say 4 o'clock for every time zone in the world, I don't care. It still wouldn't do better numbers than OpTic and LAG, just because that buff is so big with those two teams.
I think we've got to recognize, like, there is a lot of potential here in COD. I think this event mostly was excellent. As I said, Toronto did a killer job setting it up. We mentioned it in the pre-show that, okay, the venue in some respects might not have been perfect, but in terms of, like, the VIP lounge, and in the lounge they had this little like replica EWC trophy, so they were gassing that up a bit. They had good little canapes. They brought some vodka in on the final couple of days for Trey.
No,
like it was.
No. I found out who brought the vodka in.
Uh-oh.
It was Diaz Biffle.
No shot.
And he said, Trey, I saw your tweet about the vodka. I was like, yeah, it's sick, right? He goes, that's our vodka. We've been bringing it in.
No way.
And I said to him respectfully, I'm getting 3 more cups. Hey, can I... Como estas? Can I get a 3? Can I get 3 vodkas? He looked at me and goes, "You serious?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll get you back."
Yeah, Ronnie was asking for a rum and coke on the last day and didn't have any apparently. So.
Yeah, rum and coke. Where's he think he is? Wetherspoon.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so
I will
was on the
say
red
though,
wine.
I will say though, you know, if this gets anywhere to Toronto people that were working there, shout out Kel, Mitch, everyone that helped us out at that event.
Neil, like the whole crew.
everyone that helped us out at that event. You guys are great. Everything was so smooth. You guys helped us out. Shout out to the Toronto group. They always.
I think 100% they run the best events. 100%, in my opinion. Given the circumstances, like I think they run the best events. So hopefully more to come. You know, because lots of these organizations that I want to try. So these are some.
Just take it and move it to the UK. Just take it and move it to the UK, and we're in business. Absolutely.
We do the copper box, by the way. Like you need to consult.
Oh my God.
Like you need to talk.
might
I
have to do
forget the
Wembley.
guy's name. Oh my God. I mean, I'll take the copper box again. I think if Toronto do say, all right, we're going to do it again next year. We're going to do it in the UK or in the copper box. Like I need to speak to the Gfinity people that ran the event in 2019. Because I know there's a couple of people over there that are still involved to some capacity, and just like have the conversation about how it was run back then, how we could do the same thing again.
The head visionary, he comes out of a basement after 5 years. You want to run an event in the UK, lad? You want to run an event? I've been waiting for this call for 5 years.
That's actually very good, Ace.
It was so peak.
No, that was.
If we get another UK event, Rab, oh my God.
No,
Do you not understand how crazy that is? I could just get a train to the event and come home.
I know. And maybe it's in Manchester and it's across the street.
Nah.
Trust.
Can we talk about wait, this guy? You brought it up again. I just reminded me. The host who
Oh
was asking
my
the
God,
funniest
bro.
questions in
You
the
know what?
world, bro.
I didn't really get to chat to him. I was obviously backstage for a little bit in the green room.
I think it was the Friday. Or I think it was
The
I think it was
Tapas
the Friday when
Christian,
him and
bro.
Hydra. When him and Hydra were trying to understand each other, it was
Yeah,
peak
Beezy one had
comedy,
me
bro.
crying, bro. Have you got a massage? He goes, a what? A massage for everyone. Sorry, say again. A massage. Yeah. Shout out to FaZe fans. What did he say?
Oh, when he was asking Sally him, like, do you want to play in the next rounds? And he's like, Atlanta or Vancouver? Then he said it again. And then again. Now, the favorite one was like, are you willing to try any Spanish tapas? I couldn't believe my ears when I heard him say that. You know, I mean,
that was the one I was watching. I was like, this. Did someone plant him here specifically to ask the weirdest question?
It was the
like,
funniest
on
shit
purpose?
that you could ever ask as well, because
I'm
like,
not being funny.
no player was expecting that question when he's just won a series. And the first question is, what are you having for dinner? You know, and also maybe non-English speakers that don't like tapas is a word.
That's
that,
what I was.
You know what I mean?
Well, I was gonna say about the interviewer in general. Listen, it is the most dominated American.
I found it.
It's the most dominated American sport, like esport, in terms of like how many Americans we have compared to everyone else. Maybe it's not the greatest decision to have a Spanish host asking everyone, you know.
You like the Spanish tapas?
I don't know who came up with this question. Who came up with this? All right, I'm gonna play the clip. It's 17 seconds. Let me run the shit.
These people is amazing. They're cheating for you every single time. But first of all, welcome to Madrid after dominating this last map. Are you willing to taste any Spanish tapas? Wait, what? Are you willing to taste any Spanish tapas? Because after this map, you must be hungry. The Spanish?
Oh my God, man! I can't with this clip. It's just too good. Me and Ronnie were on the watch party, just creasing. Like just the way he says it, I can't say enough about this clip. It's an all-timer.
What is tapas? Tapas is just like multiple like small dishes.
Yeah, imagine from the Americans, it's like imagine pretty small little taster appetizers. That's it. So like Spanish people will order a bunch of little small dishes, drink a little bit, have a little bit of just a bunch of different tastes, and then they'll be done with that meal.
Yeah, it's like a 5 for 5 from Applebee's.
There you go. That's a good. There you go. It's a sampler.
whatever
Yeah,
it
it's,
was.
it's an American
Yeah.
sampler, basically.
I just love the
Legit.
timing of it because Hydra's sitting there and he's like, congrats on the win. Hydra's expecting a question like, oh, you played so well in that series. Like, obviously, you've been struggling a bit online. Like, how you bouncing back here on land, your first game of the tournament. He gets asked about, you know, what sort of.
I love it how
dishes he's gonna
he
be
started.
popping.
He started off serious, Trav. He's like, you know, you've got so many fans supporting you. You know, you're through to here. But first of all, have you tried any Spanish tapas? Like what?
That's my man. He didn't ask that again for the rest of the weekend, bless him.
My favorite choice of wording that he used, and I don't know if he Google translated it or something, but he said, "Are you willing?" willing.
So good. It's so good.
The willing word. That's
It
where I
makes it
lost
sound
bro.
like, you know, that's what I think is the funniest shit as well, right? Because it makes it sound like he's, you know what I mean? It's like almost like an innuendo,
like someone's holding
right?
him hostage. Like, are you willing to do it?
Oh, I
Also,
love this guy
this
so much.
announcer, this announcer didn't, you know, count for the fact that everywhere closes at fucking 10 p.m. in Madrid, so you can't even get anything if you wanted anything.
Yeah, so they
Oh,
couldn't even
no,
eat food
bro.
anyway. And around the venue,
Apparently,
like, oh my god.
apparently
There was
FaZe,
nothing to eat.
apparently FaZe went to a mall or a shopping center or whatever you want to call it after the games because they finished so late and just ate Popeyes for like 3 days straight.
Oh my god.
It was actually, I mean, there wasn't many other options because around the venue there weren't a load of. It wasn't like
Oh, no,
Alan,
not that
you
one
know.
that we went to.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. We popped into a spot around the corner from the venue, and this burger that Simeon ate, it nearly took him out for the rest of the weekend. Like we nearly no longer had you know.
I had
any
to
help
save
on the
Rab and
show.
Simeon's life. Listen, this burger that they came out with looked like it was about the size of 2 hockey pucks. And I said to Rab, I said, Rab, yo, Ace, I'm not even joking. It was like this thick. It was like a filet mignon. Okay? And I said, Rab, there's no way that's cooked.
There was no way that's beef, first of all. There's no way that was beef.
I said I had to ask him. I was like, Rab, please cut into that and have a look before you like decide to eat it. He cut into it, and like instead of it like breaking when you tore it, it like stretched.
Yeah, it was.
It was like a piece of cloth.
It was abysmal. So I didn't have any of that. But Simeon was hungry enough. He just slammed it down.
Bro, Simeon was sucking into it. He goes, I didn't get much sleep last night. I was all nauseous and that.
Yeah, next day he woke up and was like, ain't looking good for me. So, yeah, so that was the venue options for food around the corner of the venue.
Like
so
it was like a 2-star. I asked for a vodka and Sprite. He gave me a bottle of vodka and a hint of Sprite.
which was classy.
I'm not even joking. I said, yo, vodka Sprite. He comes over,
With the bottle,
gives me
slams it
with
on
the
table.
bottle, puts it on the table and goes, let me know when to stop. I'm like, what? Fills up my cup halfway. This is like 1 p.m. by the way. I'm absolutely fucking licked going back into the watch party. I'm fucking lit.
Oh, that burger was not seasoned. People asking in the
Wasn't
chat.
cooked.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't cooked. It wasn't seasoned. You know, all good. It's fine. We go again. So yeah, there was no Spanish tapas to be had anywhere near the venue. Anyway, for my boy Yuli to know. I'm just gonna play the "Are You
the
Willing
hot
to"
dogs
one more time.
The hot dogs that they were selling.
I
at the
never
venue
even
too
had one.
Looked fucking. Wouldn't catch me eating one of those, mate.
Welcome to Madrid after dominating this last map. Are you willing to taste any Spanish tapas?
All right, I'm gonna leave it there for the time being. Let's talk about the winners. Before we get there, though, I want to discuss this. Well, okay, it's kind of part and parcel, really. What's good, Dens? Welcome to the chat. Good to see you this weekend. This was a big talking point through the weekend. Ben was talking about it a lot on this whole performance coaching thing. And I want to know Trey's thoughts on this from a player perspective. But I'll just share this clip here from Matt Fisher real quick before you...
Yeah, go for it, because I have a good story.
Okay, I'm very intrigued.
Okay.
So this guy, Matt Fisher, he works for a company called Animas Esports. He's their director of performance. They're basically like a esports performance company, right? They work with a load of different esports teams. My friend Ryan, he has worked with them for some time, and he, this weekend, was brought back in with the Thieves. He used to work with Thieves a bit before, but Ryan was back working with the Los Angeles Thieves this weekend. I even worked with him a little bit ago, not like on that type of stuff, but like he helped me with my nutrition and my diet and all this stuff a couple of years ago. And he knows his shit when it comes down to like performance and like routines and how to execute, and how, like, from a mental perspective, how, let's say you just choke around 11 in map 2, how do you bounce back in map 3? Like, mentally, how do you reset? All sorts of, you know, strategies and techniques, and what works for certain players and what works for not other players, whatever, right? And some people would say that's a bit of pseudoscience, but there's obviously a reason why in regular sports this thing is pretty common. So this guy, Matt Fisher, he worked with the Subliners, I know, when they won the World Championship. And now he's working with FaZe. You saw him in the background of their clips. And he tweeted this out a couple of hours ago. And you might say, oh, he's just, you know, gassed himself up or whatever. But he did say this. Since Modern Warfare 2, teams I've supported have won 7 of the 13 major events. And obviously he's working with good teams. So, like, let's make that clear. But also, arguably, you know, maybe he's making the teams good, whatever you want to say. He says he's obviously biased, but it's crazy to me because what he says is that teams spend a lot of money on making roster changes, on the salaries, whereas putting someone in as a performance coach, which would be a much cheaper thing to do, might make a bigger difference. So then it turned out that the 2 teams, as far as I'm aware, that really invest in this stuff are FaZe and Thieves. And sure, maybe they're just the most talented teams, but you see what I'm saying, right? There feels like there's a little bit of a trend towards, and especially because FaZe, their problem used to be in finals, and they didn't have an issue clutching up this weekend. Maybe that's nothing, maybe it's something. So anyway, Trey, that's the background. I want to know your story.
Yep. Well, I got you know, I can talk about this for a while, but I did bump into Ryan on my flight. He was sat right in front of me. Sat right in front of me. I didn't know who he was personally until we started talking. I sat down in my chair, and he turned around and goes, "Trey, right?" I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" He's like, "Ryan, you know, I do this and this and this." Big discussion, you know, even when we got off the flight. We had a discussion about it, and the way I said it to him is, a lot of this is, look at professional sports teams. It's not like their coach is the nutritionist and helps them out with their, you know, the coach should be there for the game stuff. And a lot of teams aren't invested in other avenues. One, maybe it could be budgets or something like that, but it doesn't help to have someone else that can, you know, speak to you on a different level, that's literally there for that specific reason. He's not there to, you know, be your best friend. He's there to turn you into a better person. He's there to get you prepared for the games. Like Matt, for example, he's helped out teams, like different teams on the same day. You know, he was working with Subliners or LAG, I can't remember which it was, but he's worked with numerous amount of teams. And I think a lot of players would have an issue working with someone like Matt, like Ryan, because their egos are too in the way. They think they don't need someone like that to help them out because they're the best. They can shoot straight. What the fuck does Matt Fisher know about shooting straight in COD? That's all I need to do to win. I think a lot of pros have got to open their mind about letting other people help them with their out-of-game mentality as well as their in-game mentality. And I think it goes to show that LA Thieves and FaZe are, you know, top teams in the game, that they could show other people that maybe Matt and Ryan are good for the team environment, keeping the team together, helping them out of game stuff. I think a lot of teams can look into this. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It might work for some teams, it might not work for others, but it don't hurt to help. You know, if you're getting shit on, guess what? Spending $250,000 on a new player isn't going to help you all the time. Maybe you've got to listen, everyone in COD can shoot straight. Not everyone can clutch up. Not everyone can do this. You look at, let's say, Seattle, for example. They can all shoot straight. Is Matt going to help them win? No. Like you said, Matt and Nat are, you know, they are dealing with top teams, but maybe they're making these top teams better. It's just something to think about.
I'm going to take it from a little bit of a different angle just because it is all top teams. I think that's where someone like him gives gives someone at the peak or at the top just that little edge that makes them better than the rest. So that's why I don't think the bottom half of the league or even 3/4 of the league will utilize this or even needs this. It really comes down to, let's say, an OpTic, a FaZe, a Thieves, a Toronto. We'll say those 4, right, for now. Carolina maybe right now too, because, you know, they obviously look good. But these kind of the teams in this mix can use their service and actually gain an advantage over their competitors. So I think there is a place for him, but I think it's kind of cheese who he's worked with in these years. Utilizing that as proof is a little bit overstating the importance of a coach like this.
Yeah, you're talking about like where the limitations are on certain teams, right? Because for the teams at the bottom of the league, they're not performance coach limited, if you know what I'm saying. Whereas for a team like FaZe, they are potentially very arguably, at least have been in the past, limited by their ability to get over the line in finals. For whatever reason, and it's never really been clear why. Obviously, I've talked about their comms and stuff, which I think was significantly better. But, I mean, let's be honest, Game 5, Round 11, Game 7, Round 11, those are the type of moments where this performance coaching really comes into play. And obviously, if you're not in the finals because you're not good enough, then you're not even going to get the chance. But I think, as you say, there's some teams, obviously I'll pass it back to you, Trey, in a second, but I think this is the point that Ben J was making. And maybe you think Ben's point is fair or not fair, but like FaZe and Thieves this weekend played at a very, very high level of cards in basically every single respect. And maybe it's no secret that, okay, they have an incredibly talented roster, but also they are leaning into this performance coaching thing more so than any other team is. Whereas OpTic, you know, they kind of just vibe, right? Like that's been their philosophy for years, and it can work. They can win championships that way. They literally just won the world championship. But in terms of consistency, it's not always going to be there, maybe. So I think they're one of the teams that should at least be thinking about this as a potential avenue. But yeah, what do you think, Joe?
My thing is that there's a reason the top teams are using it to their advantage. Now, if you have a bad event, you have a bad event. Matt Fisher and Ryan, they ain't going to help you. Like I said, they ain't going to help you get to the finals every time. What they will help you with is personal and team. They will help you be a better team cohesion wise. They're going to help you out in that aspect. Ryan was telling me that when he gets back home, he's going to have one-on-one with the players. See how it's about how the players feel. And I think it takes a lot to understand this, that someone that you guys might think is a dick, like Scrap, for example. You guys say he's got a big ego, but he's working with these guys. And Celium and stuff like that. You know, I'd done an interview with them and spoke about Matt being their performance coach. And both of them said they didn't believe him, but believe in that avenue to bring it to COD. But they both said it helps him out tremendously. I think, like Den said as well, Matt ain't going to go down to the bottom teams and help him out, realistically. I feel like that all comes down to just them being a better team. Like LAG, for example, they might need a change and then bring Matt in. Matt might help him out longer down the line, but right now they need a team change. I just think there's a reason that LA Thieves, FaZe have brought these people in to make the team better, team cohesion better, and I think it's good to see. And maybe OpTic, might look into it in the future to see if it helps him out.
Yeah, the only other kind of separation of roles is an important thing. A coach's job is to watch COD and tell you about the game, right? That's the guy you want to have that experience. Like Lamar, Looney, Karma, these kind of guys are people who've played. They know what's going on. But do you necessarily want to hear about your performance from these guys? I don't know, right? It's an allocation of tasks is very important here. When you're on these top teams, when you have someone else that's literally just teaching you psychologically clutch and training you in that fashion to be more mentally sound, that's literally a different role than a coach can do. Or let's say like an in-game leader like Slasher. That these two people are not doing this thing. So it is the cherry on top, but sometimes that cherry is what puts you, that takes you across the finish line. That's where it can make the make or break. So I think they do it. He definitely has a place in the league. And right now, man, OpTic might want to give this guy a call for sure.
I think it's cool to hear the way they talk about it too. Like I said, I had a long conversation with Ryan from when we boarded the flight to when we got off the flight to go get the baggage claim. He's constantly working. He's constantly thinking about how to make it better. And like you said, your in-game coach, Rambo Ray, should not be your performance coach at the same time. He shouldn't be your best friend, your performance coach, the guy you go to dinner with every single night. You know, it's got to be a, you know, anyone in Arsenal's not going to dinner and, you know, talking to Arteta about how, you know, how the game feels, whatever like that. You know, there's different styles of coaching and whatever like that. I just think it's good that they've managed to separate the coaches. And Ryan told me that they even work with the coaches because the coaches can word it better to the players because they're around them more. So that's so that helps as well. I just think that a lot of teams could use someone like that, even if it's just a personal one. Like, look at sports, for example. They use these people. They use psychologists. They use sports performance coaches and everything like that. It's not just a COD thing. This is used worldwide in sports to help even athletes that are at the top of their game. So clearly it works.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen bans like, you know, when the breathing exercises were being talked about a couple of years ago, bringing them into play. Like, it's always difficult to say how much it would help you, but even if it doesn't help and it's purely placebo, it still helps you. Because if you, like, if I'm looking at my team and I'm like, well, you know, we've got this guy working with us on helping us clutch him in round 11, and here we go into round 11, their team don't have that. Like, you know what I mean? Even just little things like that can make a difference. And certainly on the grand finals we watched this weekend, the little things are basically everything, because that final could not have been any closer. And one team won, one team didn't win at the end of the day, and both teams were coached by people that we've just been discussing over the last few minutes. So it's definitely a talking point, and I think it's going to continually be the case. I know that Benjay's been spouting it a lot from like the OpTic perspective, because obviously back in the day it used to be like this. I think this is Benjay's take, is that OpTic, they're still kind of, I mean, he said these words on the watch party that he thinks OpTic is still living in like 2017, when that's their approach to practice, like the way that the players would approach things back then. It's not about like, oh, they're making content on the side and therefore they're not focused on the game. It's more like certain teams are now approaching practice with a certain mindset and a very serious mindset about the way that they approach all their time in and outside of the game. And OpTic's practice hasn't been at that level. Maybe you could argue, and look, maybe you practice how you play, maybe it doesn't matter, OpTic can win anyway. But I know that OpTic fans are getting frustrated just the fact that they were looking so good online, then they come to LAN and they can't replicate it, and nobody seems to quite understand why. Whereas FaZe never have that issue, really. Very rare that that's true for any particular event. So, you know, we can discuss that more over the coming minutes. It's probably about time we hop into some games, really. Any final thoughts on that topic, gents? Because we've got one more big topic to discuss before we get into the weekend.
No, I think we covered it top to bottom. And then Trey was on the play with the guy, so
couldn't get much better than that.
No, listen, like I said, this topic
counts,
was crazy. Just to top it off, you know, I think with paying these players what they're getting paid in a league as big as it is, I think you've really got a budget in for someone like this. And if it doesn't work, you tried and tested, it don't work, whatever like that. But I feel like it's always a good thing to try.
Yeah, you got teams over the last year. Go on it.
I would say the only thing early on in like MW 19, the first one, the CDL was introduced and everything, a lot of teams did have these performance coaches, like exterior coaching staff and support. I know Rokkr had it. I know NYSL had it. So there were definitely more of this when resources and money was more available. So I think over time, as we've seen a lot of trimming and slimming happening in the CDL in general, unfortunately, this type of external service is one of those ones that a lot of those budgets can't support. So
I think Drippler makes an interesting point. I was actually going to mention this as well. So Tupac, Thug Lord, my GOAT, CDL name, he obviously got released by FaZe because of budget cuts, right? And he even made a tweet about it at some point. Now he's on Cloud9 as their like S&D coach. And okay, Cloud9 search right now is pretty ass, but also it's not that the players are making the great decisions. It's just very difficult from a coaching side to say how impactful somebody is, because if you'd have said in December, well, dropping 2-pack looks like a mistake, I'd be like, well, maybe, but it's difficult to really say. And now FaZe just won Major 1, looking like the best search and destroy team in the game, and it's like, well, you know, how much did 2-pack really do? That's what people are going to say, right? And it's not like he's a bad search player, wasn't doing anything, but I think there's an argument to say that, you know, search and destroy coaches and stuff. If I had to choose, am I bringing in a performance coach or an S&D coach? I think my answer at the moment is pretty clear. Because I'll just get my coach to work on them with some S&D stuff, like my normal coach, and the players will figure things out themselves.
Yeah, I'm going to let Trey go. I think Trey's going to say what I'm going to say, but go ahead.
I think that is the most pointless thing of all time. An S&D coach? I don't know, man. You got, listen, there's 4 players on the map, okay? You can come up with a strat, whatever like that, but 4 players on the map, they have their own play style. FaZe, for example, they want to be fast, they want to do this. When you watch 2-pack play S&D, you know, he ain't running around like Simp, he ain't running around like a Beezy. And this is I'm not throwing shade to 2-pack. Obviously, he's one of the greatest S&D player minds there is. I just don't really see there needing to be an S&D coach, realistically. That's all I need. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, you touched a little bit on my point. Actually, I thought you were going to say what I was going to say, but I think this game doesn't suit the style of S&D that 2-pack is used to playing. I think the S&D in this game is quite different than past Call of Duties. So what he's used to doing and works and all that kind of stuff in this game is actually pretty ass. Whereas what FaZe is doing and the kind of the more bang out together methodology is really what's crushing it. Bro, watch a BZ play S&D. Of course he's absurd, but the amount of gaps in this game, how large the maps are and the places he can put himself early in rounds is different than the majority of CODs. The timings in this game are really tough to find. So I think that's where it messes up with the current S&D coach or the past ones who were effective in this game. I don't think it works out well.
I just don't feel like they're needed. You know, I'm not trying to get him out of a job or anything like that. I'm just saying, does anyone have S&D coaches?
Not many teams have done. I mean, Seattle.
No.
Seattle had a quip for a couple of years, but
yeah,
it's not especially well utilized at the moment.
Wait, what? I don't know. I mean, let me slam. I'm not trying to slam a quip either, but Seattle was pretty ass at S&D.
That was the issue, unfortunately for him. They were like the worst search team of all time.
Right, no, but
Really
right. So let me just explain why I think that's fucking. Like, let me just explain something. If we've got S&D coaches, why don't we have our point coaches? Why don't we have control coaches? Why? Because you don't fucking need them.
Control coach, can you imagine? Could be
Listen,
me.
these players, there are 4 players that play together on the set. They're a team. They're going to find out what works for them. No one can tell these 4 players what is going to work for them. They need to work together to what's going to work for them. They're going to figure it out themselves. Not someone else on the outside saying, yeah, well, I think you two should go there, hold that lane. You two should go hold that lane. When this happens, listen, things happen in COD. It's going to happen. Shit's going to go wrong, and you go figure it out. And guess what? The 4 players on that game are going to figure it out themselves.
My other take too, again, it's like supplement to yours, but where's the coach himself? I think it should be his role to figure out the S&D too. Like, yeah, you figured out the hard point, you figured out the control. What? Oh, S&D, we're just leaving now. S&D, we're just letting this guy do it because you can't figure it out. Then are you qualified to be a coach? I feel like there's a lot more. That's literally what the coach's job is. Again, it's COD related items. So I understand getting a performance coach because that's a separation. That's something, again, a task that's separated. If we did have a hard point S&D and a control coach, that was the standard. That's different. We have a COD coach. That should be the guy who's coordinating that along with the players. I think sometimes in COD, too many heads in a room actually causes confusion.
Facts. Especially, let's say the coach doesn't like the way the S&D coach is running the S&D.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Oh,
like,
no,
team captain has their thoughts, you know?
Well, listen, he's going to well, we can't win a fucking S&D when the other guy goes, we can't win a fucking R point. So what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. Maybe we both need firing. Like, maybe we're both ass.
No, you are right, though, because I was just thinking a second ago, like, what is the optimal number of, let's say, staff, like supporting staff? And I was just thinking, well, in like regular sports, let's say football or whatever, you got loads of staff around the team. But equally, you've got 30 players in the squad, right? Whereas in COD, you've got 4 players. So like, if you've got 4 players in your team, any more than like 2 or 3 other heads in the room is too much, really. Let's be honest. Like maybe you can have a coach, an analyst, and like a performance coach or something, but that's it. Like if you've got coach, S&D coach, assistant coach, analyst, assistant analyst, like you know what I mean? Like
yeah, but see this is my thing. You, in my opinion, you don't really need an analyst either if you have an assistant coach because he can do both.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's what the analysis should be. That's what JP does for OpTic, I imagine.
I think that's the best way to work around it. Now I'm not saying, you know, RJ and Crowder and Sender and Shane, like obviously they work, and I don't know whether they have analysis or whatever like that, but they also have the budget. It's like if we were gonna go to like real sports, how like footballers have like they have a set piece coach, you know, the goalkeepers have a penalty coach and the goalkeeper coach and everything like that. Yeah. So what we got? What's COD gonna have? Though we're gonna have rotational coach, A bomb coach, B bomb coach,
A bomb coach,
you know, fucking
A control point hacienda coach.
Like, could you imagine we had a control coach and he was an Al Bagra Fortress fucking defense? You'd have the worst win rate on the fucking planet.
Imagine you were like, I don't know, Gavutu attack coach, and then they were moving from the map pool.
London's coach would have been on a fucking Supermax. Attack on Gavutu control. He would have been on the Supermax because of me.
They take protocol control out of the game, and you know your boy, who's an attack side protocol control coach, he's cooked. He gets dropped.
This is Trey Zero. That's my P2 offense coach. You know, that's he taught us how to break this hill. You know, hey guys, our P2s are great, but our P3s weren't. Hey, P3 coach, you might need to have a word with them because they can't break that motherfucker. Me P2 coach, so I'm blessed. Like pay rise for me. You know,
this is so ridiculous, bro. Again, I think it all comes down to resources, though. Like, at a certain point, when you get to that advanced level, NBA, NFL, the Champions League, and, like, super high level, everyone's high level type stuff, then, yeah, a certain coach for a lot of different delegated tasks. Like, there's a goalkeeper coach. There's a, center coach. I'm talking about basketball now. Point guard coach. Like, specific allocated jobs because every role is so technical and they're getting so much support on every team. Yeah, sure. Then add in all the specifics because you need a lot of cherries on top in order to win. You need every advantage you can get in every regard. COD is not at that place. COD is a lot simpler than real life NBA type sports. It's a lot of mental warfare, but it's not that much more difficult physically and stuff like that. So 1 or 2 heads, maybe a third, should be like the limit to how many people are talking in that room. That's about it.
Imagine if we had captured a flag coaches. They'd have been retired 5 years ago. Fortunately.
Gonna
in the basement praying for it to come back, praying for control to go away.
Domination coach for MW 2019 is like, fucking hell, boys, I'm back.
Free agent, capture the flag coach, looking for a new team. Also open to domination or A-bomb coach.
Also open to 1v4 S&D coaching if need be.
Bang my line if you want to win.
Bang.
That will
bang
be
my line. You should bang my line if you're trying to win.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing they always
That line
say.
reminds me of, like, you know, we could get into some potential team changes, Rab.
That is true. Some teams don't need to blow it up. One team that does need to blow it up, it's got to be these boys.
The only reason I say this is because I'm expecting some tweets, you know, the classic tweets, you know, free agent, my fire has been lit. I can't wait for a tweet like that in the next few weeks or so, in the next 2 weeks. Because listen, if I see a goddamn motherfucking tweet that says my fire is lit, I've got the passion again, I'm going to fucking personally slap the guy in the face because you are in a professional league and I'm sick of seeing these tweets every fucking year that your fire's been lit because you've been getting piss slammed.
King of Bodies' fire has been lit.
King of Body's lighting the fire to cook the grill up, man. That's what he's doing.
Say,
Actually.
there we go.
King of Body's fire has been put out.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think it's come back.
This team, man. Do I think they could? Do I think they have any changes to make?
What do you mean? Do you think you're there?
Wait. I know. Listen, hey, I
met him this weekend, by the way.
Okay.
I met him. What a guy.
Did you?
He is like a foot and a half shorter than you, but he does look like he actually wanted to meet you as well. We need the picture.
Did he actually? Did he
yeah. The other guys, I don't know if they knew who it was, but he knew who it was, and he mentioned like the first time I ran into him was like, "Yo, I want to meet Ace. What's good?" So
you were playing too, Rab.
Yeah, yeah, my boy. I actually cooked. Like, look at that first blood rate. Gotta think that's purple. So, you know, I'm just saying, 62
me and Rab have some crazy side quests in life, and we're out here. But yeah, this team, are they gonna make? Do they have changes to make? Yes. Will they make any of them? No. So I don't know if there's a point to really discuss them too much, because they're gonna go this year without probably getting a win. We've said it on the show. We talked about it last week and I think the week before too. I don't think they're gonna get a win. So really, whatever they do, maybe they'll rotate some guys from their challengers team. Maybe Glow Frosty finally gets his. That's something I'd love to see. I will say, if Glow Frosty finally gets his chance in the league, that would be something special. Just for himself personally, and for someone who's been in the scene, who was my teammate at a local LAN. I'm already on the team. What are you talking about? He might drop my ass, actually. You know, but I think it would be nice to see someone like that get a chance. And again, just to see the potential of some of these guys who are sitting in challengers. This is a development team. It'd be nice to see if any of them stand out. So rotate some of them in. That's probably the best we'll get.
Listen, we know what this team is. All right, Denz was in the chat too. I'll give Breaking Point 10 subs if Falcons don't win a game this season.
Well.
I mean, listen, I ain't gonna lie.
I've got you guys winning one, to be fair. So
I've got you guys winning none. But vice versa, I tell you what, Denz, vice versa. If you guys win this season, Breaking Point will pay for a team dinner.
Oh, Breaking Point
will pay for a team.
Yeah, Trey just put up Rap's card.
Trey just put my card straight in the heater. My card already went through it on Wednesday night.
I'm not paying for 8 man.
Well,
right?
I mean, I don't know what sort of appetite Rokkr and the boys have got. Like, they might be used to the premium shit. I don't know if we got the bank account for that.
Anyway, that's the deal. All right, if you guys win a series, it sounds very shameless that we're doing this.
Right, if they fly out the whole team, I'll be fuming. If they get Kicks, King of Body, Doom, Exited, Roxas, Wixel, fucking Glue Frosty, King, Denz, Clay, and the whole boys out there, and it's all going on my card.
I also don't want to be disrespectful. Like, I know we sound like disrespectful or everything like that, but I think they know the situation they're in. I think everyone knew the situation they were going to be in. It's a long-term project. I've said it from the start. You know, just keep the team as it is. You can interchange the players, give them a shot in the league, you know, with the academy team, bring in Frosty or anything like that. Give everyone a shot. I think everyone knows that this team is going to be a problem in the next like year or so when they're just going to start buying players, whatever like that. I do like the fact I do like the idea that I said the other week, boys, is you know, keep the academy team Saudi based in terms of like all the players. Keep the best Saudi player from that team on the main team and build around him. Like, could you imagine Kicks with 3 Unreal Americans? Like, how big that would be for the Falcons and the Middle Eastern and everything like that. I think that would be a very good thing. This year's a write-off. We all knew it. We all knew what it was going to be. And I think going into next year, it's going to be this whole organization is going to be a goddamn issue for the league. I think they're going to be a top dog. I think Clay, you know, he saw a tweet from him the other days, but he is stressed about it. But I feel like we're all going to look at this team in the next year or so and be like, fucking hell, like we might be screwed.
Yeah, I mean, the budget is there. They have a chance in the next year or two to grab some really important pieces. And I know there's people who, you know, whether you like it or not, you know, loyalty in this league is not a huge thing. Maybe besides OpTic. But a lot of these names would go for a big enough bag and go play for the Falcons, and they're based in Dallas. It's not like they have to move to Saudi Arabia. They're playing in center of America. It's a great place, and they have a lot of support from the organization. But I also want to show this, by the way. There's a Snapchat filter, and tell me if you guys look how much I look like King of Bodhi in the Snapchat filter.
Oh my god.
Try,
Let me
peep.
get this on the full screen real quick.
I'm Roxas and King of Bodhi. Like, no,
Wait, that
one,
is
like, dude,
that is
Emma,
outrageous.
Look at that and look back at the screen.
There we go. King of Bodhi.
Tell me that's not perfect.
That is the
bro.
Burger King, bro. That's a 53 rated card.
Yeah. Add +1. Add a +1 to me right there.
I think, yeah, the issue is that Kicks has been their best player. I know they didn't play that many series. To my understanding, look, Denz isn't going to give us any intel on this in the chat, which is perfectly fine. But I don't know. From what people have been saying, the likelihood of Kicks' return to the league is slim at best. And I don't know why. I would love to see him back in the league, but it's very plausible that he never comes back, as far as I understand. Which is,
I think me and you both had the same thing.
yeah, which is not a great. It ain't great when he's been your best player.
You might look at this card and think, "Fucking hell, I might just come back."
Yeah, pay rise.
Yeah, I really wonder. I really wonder what the situation is. Whether we'll ever. I doubt we'll ever know. But another reason why, again, no disrespect, but Denz and everyone else that thinks maybe we're hating, they came into the league day one with the best players they had. That was the best that Saudi had to offer from their own understanding, from years of playing, from challengers times. They have their own little league. They have their own leagues, like COD leagues in that region. Those are the best players, best four they could assemble. And they still weren't getting it done. So now that the best four are being disassembled, that's why my belief in them actually getting a win has lessened. If they had the best players that were playing together for years, the starting four from day one, that would have been, I wouldn't have this take. I actually would think that they could win because they built some chem. They're playing continually. It's the best they have to offer. But as of right now, with as many team changes that has happened and the backups essentially coming in, that's why my belief has gotten down to, like, yeah, they're probably not going to end up winning a series the whole year.
I mean, they had a chance to win an S&D, went 5-1 up, and didn't have Matt Fisher.
That is true.
So did C9. Let's continue. Woo!
Okay, so in that context of this, given that they have their roster, they don't have the ideal roster, just, your take on this real quick again, Trey, on teams don't want to scrim them. They've had enough. They ain't trying to scrim the Falcons anymore. They don't think they're going to improve by scrimming them. Scump reckons it's pretty disrespectful for the other teams not doing so. People have been saying, well, if they don't scrim them, it's time that the Falcons start breaking the GAs, start snaking in matches, screw the league. Or maybe the answer is just get good.
I mean, I kind of got cooked on my take sometimes. People didn't agree with what I said, but as a professional player, ex-professional player, we didn't scrim shit teams. We never did. If there was a choice to play a Paris Legion in Vanguard, we chose to scrim a challenger team. That's the way it was. We thought as a team we needed to get better, and we weren't going to get better playing a shit team. It was just 3 wins on the map. That's the way I look at it. Is it disrespectful because they're a CDL team? Yes. But is it disrespectful to not play them because you don't feel like you're going to get good practice from it? No. It's the same way OpTic don't like scrimming Ravens, but they've kind of forced to have to scrim Ravens. They say they don't try, but OpTic just finished, pretty poorly, and Ravens played well, so they're going to scrim them. But, the proof's there that they're not a very good team. I don't know. Coming from an ex-pro, that's my reasoning behind it. That's why I want you guys to understand what I'm saying.
I just want to add too separately, like, this is a professional league. This isn't a this isn't a participation league, right? If a team is ass, whatever scheduling that you want to do with your scrimming, no one is obligated to scrim you. Someone could not. Teams can sit there and say we're not scrimming this week. No one could stop them. No one could tell them anything. So it's personal choice. If Falcons aren't contributing to anyone's success and are essentially just, it's like playing a pub, or it's almost like just like you're just running around with no structure, because they're also, again, the team chem is not there. They keep switching players. There's a lot of other factors. It's not just we don't like Falcons. It's not that. I could understand the idea that we don't want to play this team, and they don't have to. That's like, I want that to be clear. Like, some people are saying it's disrespectful, but like, why? You don't have to play anybody. Your scrim schedule is set not by the league. It's not mandated. It's individual teams setting it up. So I don't see why there's an uproar about this. I think it's just quality of practice. What is the uproar?
Yeah, I totally get it. I think the other issue as well is like, what exactly is the solution from their perspective? Because I totally agree. I think at the end of the day, it's every team for themselves. And my job as a player is to make my team better. Like, I'm not doing charity work. Like, that's the way the teams will look at it, right? Is that because if Falcons, if their ownership goes to the CDL and says, hey, our players are screwed, which it might be fair enough, because especially when you get different patch updates, so the Falcons can't even scrim challenges because they're on a different patch to them. Literally all they can scrim is pros, and none of the pro teams want to play them. Then someone at some point might say, look, we want to find a solution here. But then if I'm a team and I'm being, I'm going out of my way to scrim a team, like, this is a competitive league, right? Like, we're trying to do everything that we can in our own power to help ourselves. And that should be how it is. So, yeah, I don't really want to agree with you guys, but I feel like I'm almost forced to.
Chat has a lot of takes on this. Like, I feel like there's a very mixed reaction to this. Make a poll. One of the mods, make a poll. Like, is it disrespectful? Like, maybe that's the poll. But I'm very curious because I see a lot of different takes on it in the chat right now.
I think people are looking at it as like they're in the league. They need the practice. It works both ways. It really does. The thing is that we have this argument about Falcons. Yeah, they are the worst team in the league, but there's not many. There's a few teams that aren't far off.
Yep.
Realistically, I think the only thing that really separates like how bad they're looking right now is the player names. Realistically, I think there's a few teams in the league that should be lucky that they get the same amount of scrims as them, because there's a few teams in the league that are pretty fucking shit too.
Fair
so
take. Actually, is a fair take.
If we're not scrimming Falcons, then we should be scrimming some other teams too. So
I
think everyone needs to get better. And I think the teams that are doing poor right now know they need to get better. But like I said, my take on not scrimming bad teams, it's not only the Falcons that are a bad team right now. So let that be known.
Yeah, there's other teams that might be a waste of time.
The other teams, if they're bad, again, if they contribute better practice, we don't see often as observers or viewers or fans exactly what is happening on the practice ground. Because there are teams that we know through the years that are amazing scrim teams, contribute great in practice, have great records in practice, but it never translates to like actual series and weekends and tournament wins. So knowing that as a fan, I think there's something about it that you have to let the teams, give them the grace and allow them to decide what they're going to do in that regard. It shouldn't be anything of a disrespect or any type of factor like that. Even the ass teams might be great practice because they're trying really hard, while the top teams are just working on things, maybe not trying as hard, but working on, it's this P2, let's try really hard for this P2, and the rest of it, we're just kind of playing these guys, whatever it may be. So understand that they have a better understanding for practice than we do. So if teams are agreeing not to play Falcons, like across the board, essentially, there has to be a reason to more knowledge than we have.
And to people in the chat saying that, like, Falcons are a different type of ass, I'm just strictly saying on the board of, there are teams as close to the record as Falcons. They might not be as ass, but like, you know, it works both ways.
Yeah. I see your point as well, for sure.
Guy in the chat's pretty funny. He was like, "You don't scrum us, you ain't coming to EWC, baby. Gonna turn up to the World Cup and it's gonna be Falcons versus Falcons Academy in the grand finals."
They could probably do that. They could probably do that too. So listen, if you see a bunch of these teams starting to scrum Falcons, just know the king has said something to Daniel Say. Let me tell you.
King put a word in. King and Body put a word in.
You guys want the sweets? The sweets back? Yeah. I can see you 4 p.m. tomorrow. All right. You want a residency? I'll see you 4 p.m. tomorrow. Lock in. We're going for a full set. S&D included.
To be fair, for S&D, they wouldn't be... Oh, my God, my voice. For S&D, they would be a bad scrum partner, really. I think it's just the pros think that they just run around with no structure, which, to be fair, sometimes they do. I feel bad for Clay when like you watch them play. Sometimes I'm like, Jesus, what have I just witnessed? But like, it's a learning process.
I can imagine that team looking at Clay like Hydra looked at that fucking Spanish announcer.
Wait, what?
Clay just going mental about what's happening. They've all gone, wait, what?
Spanish tapas? Tapas? Spanish?
Wait, what?
Denton Lie might go get it in the chat.
No.
No, surely not. Surely not. But, I mean, the other... Like, I mentioned the other possibility of they start snaking or something earlier. But the thing is, if the Falcons can't resolve it, this may be what pushes them towards, you know, moving away from the full Saudi project, right? Because I do agree with you that part of the reason why the pros aren't like the pros, but part of the reason why the other teams aren't scrumming Falcons is like name value, right? Like there is some degree of, you know, I don't want to say discrimination because it has the wrong connotations. I would hope so anyway for this case. But I do think it's the case of like, well, these guys haven't been pros before. They're in the league. They're getting slapped around. Like, why would I scrim them? Like, who the hell is Dahum or whatever? And also, they're making roster changes every week. So I get why it's like, it's a different team. Why would I scrim them? So I get why if I'm a pro with years of experience and I'm looking at these fellas' names, I've got questions about it. Whereas if I'm spawning in against... You know how it is. Like, you put Donnie Temp on that team. You put, like, you know, some other player with some tenure. And even if the team's still ass, they're probably still getting scrims just based on name value. Maybe that's not true, Trey, because when you're in London, Vegas still won't get scrims. So, you know, maybe that's fake news.
No.
I
mean, we would still scrim them, but, like, you know, it was always a conversation of, yo, last sets against, you know, Paris. You guys want to, like, you want to get dinner or get an S&D versus a challenger team? You know, we don't know what we got a 3-setter today. Dom's like, yeah, we got FaZe. You know, we got FaZe, we got Surge, and then we got Paris Legion, and we're like, ooh.
We're getting Chipotle later. Yes, dude.
Too real and Jimbo.
We're going out for the night.
Yeah, literally, we're chalking that one up. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's. I understand everyone's. Let me look at the poll one time. I'm curious what it is at right now.
Pretty 50-50.
50-50. Holy hell.
No, I do see the uproar and the argument between everyone, though. You know, it's disrespectful in terms of the fact that they've got a league team and they're not getting league practice. But then I see it from a pro player aspect too. Yeah,
I'm gonna add to the pro player aspect as well that I can tell you for a fact that some of the bottom teams, well, we dictate to be bottom teams, right? Gentlemates, C9, Surge, even Boss is not bottom team, but like any organization, like Rokkr, for example, they still provide good practice, and that's coming from players. They still take maps in scrims off of good teams. See what I'm saying? Whereas Falcons don't take anything, and that's where the problem lies. So I get the argument of name recognition and such, but I think it's deep. I think it's honestly deeper than that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the tournament. We're not going to talk about Falcons anymore. They can do what they want. Which other teams have got to blow it up? We have 3 other teams that placed dead last. I want to talk Boston real quick because I had faith that they might do better than they did this tournament, but they turn up, they get 3-0 bopped by FaZe, and there's no shame in that. And then somehow they lost. They lost to the Cloud9. They lost to New York. I was fuming while I watched this in person because unfortunately Cammy had an absolute stinky map 5 and they somehow got dirty Nesload here with an absolute Sim masterclass. So, look, Purge, like, okay, Snoopy's great. Awakening had a good series. Unfortunately, map 5, Cammy had a 1 in 9 stinker. It happens. It happens. Boston, I think, are a better team than they showed. But top 12's top 12 at the end of the day, Ace.
Man, listen, I had people were roasting me last week and the week before when Boston was playing fairly well. And they were saying, oh, Ace is just being a hater. I wasn't being a hater. My whole thing with a lot of these teams was let's see what happens when they get to LAN. My issue with these 4 guys on this team is that they happen to be LAN breakers.
Oh.
That's the issue. They're not people who, in the comfiness of their chair, high-fiving each other. Hey, guys, good job. They're good. They're going to be solid online. I think Boston Breach still are going to come back the Major 2 online stretch and be good. I think they're going to look good. People are going to be surprised. Like, oh, my God, they're better than we thought. They looked ass at Major 1, but now they come in for this online stretch, and they're dominating teams again. Some teams are LAN teams. Some teams are online teams. This is just how COD has always worked. Some people get nervous. Some people just play differently when it comes to in-person. So, yeah, Boston, I don't think, finds much success at tournaments throughout this year. But online, they're going to be good. Do I think they make a change? No. Why? They don't have the budget for it. And the guys they have now, they're friendly. They played well on the online major. They're going to cope and find a reason to stay together, and they're going to stay together through Major 2. That's my thing.
I think Cammy just had a bad event, to be honest with you.
I mean, you ain't wrong, but like this guy in the chat says, look at his most recent search performances. I've looked for his last couple of series, and Cammy's on about a 0.4 in his last 5 series in search. 0.29, 0.3, 0.3.
Maybe
0.5,
Cammy's just a
0.8,
bad S&D
0.4.
player, and we need.
Look at Big Way comparatively.
Coach. Yeah,
look at Big Way comparatively.
It's a good idea, really, because I mean, the issue is for Boston is that like if they struggled this tournament and Cammy played well, Wake may or may not have been gone. But Wake now played well this tournament, still doesn't have good numbers this year, but Cammy's been throwing up generational stinkers in Search and Destroy, which frankly is what matters a lot of the time. And Boston, how many Game 5s they lose last year? And it's not like, I mean, if you look at Wake's KDs, it's not like he's been good, but his KD is now better than Cammy's after this tournament, right? So, you know, it's a talking point. I think, like, Purge and Snoopy will stay as a duo. I like the duo. If you could get Pred instead of Purge, I think you'd do it, but I don't think that's going to happen, so it's probably not worth meriting any discussion. And I don't think Boston are the type of organization that would, you know, they would want some discussion before they were to make a move like that.
If Boston hasn't traded or got rid of or looked to sell Snoopy in this much time, I think after one major, if it tells me anything about the organization and the decision-making of that team, I think they're going to look at it. We played well online. We ended up top half of the league, which we didn't expect to. Let's try and run it back one more time. Cammy, you had a stinker. They're going to cope and just run it back. And honestly, if I'm a challenger player even, and I'm looking at my options, if I'm a top challengers player, Boston's still not a place where I would want to go necessarily. So can they even get talent from challengers that's better than Cammy or Awakening? I actually doubt it. I don't think there's anyone that can come in and be a more reputable player just with experience and proven LAN experience and proven hours in the league that could come in and make any type of difference that another team wouldn't grab already. That's the caveat here.
Yeah, I think Big Wake, I mean, he turned up this map for... I disagree with some things. I think if I was an org, I would... If I was a player, I think Boston's not a bad team to go to right now because you've got, especially if you're an AR, they've got a decent structure over there. They've got a coach. They've got, you know, the greatest GM in the history of GMing, Doug Sensor Martin. They've got like an analyst, obviously. But yeah, there's a few options. I think for Boston, I agree with you. They will just ride it out. I think I'd be very surprised they make a change. It's the type of thing that they might do. They'll be satisfied that they played well online. They were 3rd seed. They'll say, look, we got unlucky. And they'll go back to online. And they'll probably still do quite well. But I think they definitely will be taking notes that it might not be long until they have to do something.
Look at their schedule as well.
Yeah. Oh,
their schedule actually is a little bit crazy, but it's very winnable.
I mean, they start kind of nice, and then it gets much harder. But I mean, they have 2 very difficult matches. But apart from that, they could be okay. So
yeah, they're gonna end up with still I think in the top half of the league. Vegas they should win. Mates they should win. Toronto they might lose. C9 they could win. Thieves probably lose. FaZe who knows probably lose. Heretics up in the air. So you end up right in the middle. You end up right in the middle of the league or the top half if you make one upset. Boston's going to look good online, come to Major 2, probably get smacked around again, and then I think a conversation about a change would likely happen for them at Major 2, not right now.
All right. Do Gentlemates need to blow it up? Because they got Neslo'd by OpTic this series. I feel bad for them in a way. Like, they start in losers. They play OpTic round 1. Like, it is what it is. It's tough to get the win here. But still, they slammed OpTic on the protocol hardpoint. That was more OpTic just being absolutely lost. They lost the Hacienda comfortably. They won the Skyline, and they got beat 6-2 on the Vault. Difficult to have too many takeaways in this performance, really. I mean, you can run this tournament a lot of times. If Gentlemates started in winners, maybe it's a different outcome. Lin's had a good KD, although I know there was lots of talk about his actual decision-making on the map. Priester, it's not like he had a bad series here either. Skies wasn't great, but like, you don't look at this team and you say, oh, well, that guy's got to go, he's dead weight or whatever, right? So I think, again, Gentlemates are probably in the conversation of like, stick it out, see what happens next stage, hope it gets better. But at the end of the day, they've had a stinker online qualifier run, and now they're top 12 of the major. So, it's tough.
I'd be mind blown if this team does not make a change.
For who?
This might be a 2-manner.
Ooh.
For who? Yeah, don't make me double down, man. Come on, give me what I want.
You want Priester? Listen, it could be any 2 really. I think Kiz is probably a lock.
Lin's ain't going
I think when we watch Linz at that event though, Linz blacked out for a solid 5 minutes and pretty much nearly lost them the map.
He did, yeah.
Which blew my fucking brains away. Listen, I think Skies is a little too slow for this team. I think his play style is a little too slow. I think Priest has had some good better performances in the last few games. But is it good enough? No. This team needs a 2-man change, and if I was to go for a 2-man change right now, I'd probably do Priester and Skies or Priester Linz, just because of Linz's play style online. Linz ain't gonna go anywhere though. But after watching this game against OpTic, it wasn't a convincing win whatsoever. It was the most blacked out, back and forth, most chaotic series I've seen in a while.
Rab, I'm gonna let you go, then I'll close.
Yeah, I think like what I was discussing a second ago is that I can see how the team would justify not making any changes, but I think in the context of them being, if this was Los Angeles Guerrillas still, I don't know how much they would really care. It's like, whatever, like, ride it out, like, let's try again next stage. We've still got some world champions on the team. But there is pressure from the fans, right? Like, although the fans gave them this nice guard of honor and all that stuff, like, Linz obviously and the team is not happy about the results. The French fans are still giving them the love in the replies. But there's definitely people that are going to start to say, I mean, like this guy, free you, right? Like, there will be people saying, and the pressure's on the team to deliver. And they know the pressure's on the team to deliver. Like, that's the point. The amount of fans, the energy in the venue around this team was mega. Next event, they don't want to be in the same position again. And also you've got to recognize that there's obviously a few names in challenges who are at the top of the list, and if you get them, excellent. If you don't get them, some other team might get them. And then, you might be in a tricky position going forward, especially with maybe a guy like Neptune's on the market or something like that. And, I'm not sure how he would fit in, and I don't think he would be the fit for this team anyway. But, it's like Hook's been picked up by OpTic, and now you can't get Hook anymore. So if you want to really take a step forward, as people in the chat are saying, 20 points on the board, top 12 at the major, like the numbers do speak for themselves.
Julian, before you start, Julian in the chat, he said he was a part of the Gentlemates fan club at the event too. That hates Julian in the chat. He said Linz will never leave. He is French. Linz Kismet Illy Pred.
Oh, imagine.
Okay, so I think there's an issue with what Gentlemates want as their identity. Are you looking to become a team that wins? Or are you looking to be a team that's just French and it gets that French support? There's a choice to be made. The reality is your team is not working. It's pretty bad. And there's been multiple moments that you can pinpoint that Linz is the one that's causing a lot of chaos on your maps. So if you were to look at it objectively, he is a talented player, but sometimes there's moments where he just will do things on the map that are not the best for the team dynamic and for the whole game plan. But this is another thing with Linz. He's like a Snoopy in the sense that who can you find with that much talent? You can't. He's absurdly talented. He shoots absurdly straight. He snaps, he's good, he has the level of talent that shouldn't be in challengers, but some of the decision making that shouldn't be in the CDL. So you run into this problem where he becomes like, do you hold on to him to see if he develops further, or do you let him go and try to get an asset that works now? The other piece is Priesta. He looks decent on land, decent. Online, he looks pretty bad. But getting rid of just him, I don't think solves the issues. So then reality, if I was to make a two-man change in Gentlemates, I ask you again, are you trying to win or are you trying to appease the French fans? What's your goal here? I think if you don't have a French player on the team, I don't think the French fans look at it that differently. They still have Gotaga leading them. The watch parties still go crazy. And if you got, I saw Pred there. Yeah, if you got Linz for Pred, and then you got any other AR, you got Cobra for Priesta, or you maybe try to make a trade for a Abuza. So you take out Linz's French presence, but you still bring in another French player. You would still have the French support with a better team, with some fresh faces and a renewed energy. So actually, I think it's a problem more with whoever the GM is or the organization more than the team itself. It's like, what are you trying to do? What's your point in the CDL here? What's your goal? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. If I was them, initially, obviously I'm trying to win, but I don't think Gotaga wants to get rid of the French contingent entirely. I don't think Linz is going to be going anywhere. The only way Linz goes anywhere, in my opinion, is if they sign Hydra and they can maybe, Hydra and Scrap make a different decision. They manage to get him off the team at some point. Or they have another French representative. I know people were talking about, could they get a Boozer of Surge if they were to blow it up? So, could they bring in Cobra or something like that? It's possible. I just don't see... The Cobra angle is an interesting one, which kind of makes sense. I'll make it more French or something. I do get that. But equally, is he good enough to justify that when, not necessarily. It's not so clear.
It's another layer to that as well. If you watch Cobra play, he's a slower, baity type player. He reminds me of a Geo. He's like Geo and Skies almost like put together. That's kind of what he is. So him and Skies, I think, would be a bad duo, though. That's another problem that if you bring Cobra in. Whereas if you bring in Abuza, Skies, even if you want to keep Lin, sure. I think Abuza actually solves your problems, but how to acquire him is a whole other problem and struggle.
Yeah, Julian says it in the chat, and I don't disagree. I think it is very important for the French to have someone in the team. Because they had Cobra at the
I don't think
World
Linz
Cup, right?
goes. I don't think Linz goes, and when I say they need a double team change, it could be anyone. Linz probably keeps his spot just because he's French, and he also had a good event. But Linz does cause most of the chaos, but that also doesn't help when you've got Sky's not even in a part of the chaos.
Yeah, I agree. That's a big point. One other problem too, again, I'm gonna add this into their team. If you want to keep Linz and you forcibly keep him, and you let go of any other two, or you let go of two, Priesta and someone else, the someone else, the Kismet, the Skies, is gonna end up making another team in this league better. So thereby, even if you make a change, you've made your life harder. This is another factor of it that why my two choices would be Priesta and Linz. Because if Linz gets dropped and he gets picked up by anyone else, I don't know if that team gets better. But if you let go of Skies or Kismet, 100%, they're going to improve another team and make your road to the top, that much harder.
The run they've got in the qualifiers is pretty... Well, it's interesting the way they might think about this. So they play Boston, Miami, Surge, Cloud9, Falcons. That's their first 5 games of the qualifiers. That's as easy as it gets. Then you play FaZe and OpTic, final 2 games. So... they might think, oh, well, we keep the roster and we'll gain some momentum through those games and then we're going to be positioned to take on the big boys. Maybe, but maybe you could argue that it's the perfect set of games to try a new roster. Look, the reality is they've got to get some damn points on the board because this is a pretty long major stint with 7 qualifiers and a minor and a big tournament being pretty much rock bottom of the league. Okay, Falcons are a write-off, so at least you're not going to be 12th, but... you need the points. It's like teams like Ravens, teams like Miami put up serious points this weekend. You've got to start getting them somewhere.
This team could be another Cloud9 situation where the AR duo just ain't it. Because Kiz was frying at the event. Kiz was looking good. Like I said, when I watched Linz play, he just looks like he blacks out, but he had a good event. He played well, and when I say good event, I mean he played once, he lost once. So what?
Yeah, how much of an event is it really?
He had a good match. So it could be another SMG AR situation where the AR duo just ain't working. But to me, this team's got to make a change. And if they don't, it ain't looking good because that run of games, it's not an easy set of games.
I mean, it starts out pretty easy. Ends kind of hard, but...
Yeah, I mean, ends more difficult, but... Well, maybe it's not that easy, but...
I mean, let's be real. This is the second worst team in the league.
Yeah, maybe it's harsh to say this is an easy run, but it's I don't know.
Guys, they are the second worst team in the league. There is only 1 win from this game that I see them getting.
Yeah, second or third worst team, arguably third worst, whatever.
I look at this and I see them going 1-6.
Damn, that's brutal. I
see 2 and 5 probably.
I mean, if that's the logic, we've got to blow it up, lads. We can't, you know what I mean?
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. My issue is, what's the goal of the team? Gotaga, whoever's GMing, what's the goal, man? Are we trying to win, or are we just trying to be here and have fun and woo, French, yay? Is that it? If that's the case, then all right, have fun. Have fun this year. Do the Falcons. You're doing your 1-year Saudi connection. You guys want to do your 1-year French connection, but it's not going to work with this roster in any way.
All right, let's move on from the Genomates.
Blows my mind that they said that one guy says I look like him, Kakarot. Blows my mind. I look nothing like him.
The other team that came dead last, Trey, I know you gave your thoughts on Surge throughout the weekends, what they got to do. Is it time to blow it the hell up? It might be, unfortunately. There's obviously talk about this roster, the way that it currently looks. Nasty, I think, played pretty well. 04 and Abuse. I mean, 04 always has his moments during a tournament. Abuse has been getting slowly better. I think, unfortunately, the Hixie is in a position where the type of player that he is for this type of team where really what they're crying out for is like someone to do some slaying. Hixie really isn't going to be that guy, and especially on this game, the way that it plays, the pace of the game, it's pretty tough, right? And they obviously played 2 games this weekend. Both of the teams that they lost to did not go that deep in the tournament. They pretty much got destroyed by Toronto. They probably should have won the search. And then they got beaten by Rokkr, again, relatively comfortably. So, yeah, rough tournament for Surge. I think, like, of all the teams that we've mentioned so far, the team that I think just has to make a change is surely this one.
Obviously, Hixie didn't have a great event, and you know he's been struggling recently too. And I was chilling with, I was watching the games, and Hixie got to me. He was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna fly to Vancouver and just probably fly back," like joking that he's gonna be dropped or whatever like that. I obviously that was just like him joking. I don't know what the situation was. I've said it before too. I have a bad series. Like, well, there's no point in me flying back because I'm probably just free fire. I might as well just stay here. End of the day, this team, I said it prior as well. It ain't good enough. What do they need to do? I couldn't fucking tell you. Because there's no one's standing out. No one's like frying. We can blame Hixie, but like, look at that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like anyone's fucking doing any better than anyone else. So, it's a weird situation. It will probably have to be another 2-man change. That's the only way I can see these teams getting better. I don't think one person majorly changes the way anyone plays.
I actually don't agree with you here. I think if I'm GMing this team, I think we're one piece away from being pretty good. Like, not like dominating the league type good, but 04, Abuza, and Nasty, I think Hixie's just your weak link. I think you replace him, run one major like that, and see how it goes. Because you have guys who are, they're good players. 04 is good. He knows what he's doing. Abuza's obviously, proven talent. Nasty's a good role player. You just need, I think, Hixie really, again, across this major, 0.85, right? Slayer rating 77. Respawn KD 0.82. Hixie's a valuable asset to a different team, but not a team structure like this. They need someone who's a shooter. I see people in chat saying Neptune. They need to get just a quicker, like a Snoopy or a Lins on this team would be valuable, absurdly valuable. If they could figure out how to get Lins on this team or figure out how to get a sub like that on this team, they would be a dangerous squad for sure.
We are doing the Rambo Ray tweet check for the gentleman.
Of course.
He actually did quite a few. He banged one out on the 25th. Live look at my hairline with the game 5s. And then he actually did 3 this weekend. Obviously not the weekend we were hoping for. Our recent games and scrims didn't transfer over. Do you like this one, Trey? I like this one. This is one of my favourites. Our recent scrims, they just didn't transfer over.
If there was a fucking Call of Duty excuse 101 handbook, that would be the top 5 excuses.
Easily top 5. Might be top 3. It just didn't. I don't even know what that means, man. What does it mean didn't transfer, man? I hate these. I'm losing my mind.
It means they haven't got the composure to transfer whatever they've been practicing for the last fucking 4 months to come to an event and do it on the main stage.
You remember when I said that? Remember we were talking about Falcons, where I said that there's teams that in practice are like pretty good and actually take maps off top teams. This includes Surge. They try very hard in practice. If you're a bottom team, of course you should be trying hard, but they try really hard in practice, and they do have good scrims. But it's just it's a roster that when it comes game time and weekend time and everyone's playing at 100%, that roster is just not going to compete with the top. So it's not a shock, really, what he's saying, but I'm sure their scrims, I believe him. I'm sure their scrims did look great. I actually believe him 100%.
Yeah, another couple from Rambo as well. I mean, he's not wrong. Going to be a fun year for COD. First time the final goes down to the wire, so good to see Rambo, Rambo sticking around, watching the matches. But yeah, unfortunately, Surge, they might well be cooked. Let's go to the next team because Ace, I think it's time we send in the big guns. we got to talk about my favorite team in the league, the team that me and Ronnie were hate watching all weekend long.
Nice.
And it's the Cloud9 New York. Mac, I don't know what happened to this poor guy. Like, he dislocated his knee or something. Like, he was on the main stage. I don't know how he managed that. Not
I heard
ideal.
someone crossed him over in B-ball.
Yeah, it was basketball. They were playing basketball and he got hurt.
I heard
He's not a
someone broke his
Benjamin Beans.
ankles. I heard someone broke his ankles on the name of sibilance. Crossed him over pretty fucking heavily, and now he can't walk.
Yeah, they were, they were trying to just get outside, do something, touch some grass. And unfortunately, when gamers go outside and touch grass, bad things happen. And yeah, he didn't. He got a little messed up. But C9, man. C9. Oh, man. To me, you remember we talked about on, what was it, the Rokkr squad when they got in that control against OpTic when they got wrecked and destroyed? And then that was, Trey, you remember you said that was the end of their chem as a team, basically? Getting come backed on 1-5 in S&D, I think, to me, was one of those moments where you look at it and you're just like you're looking at the guy next to you and you're like, holy shit, we suck. I think that was a big moment of realization, and I think that's one of those ones that's gonna etch in their memory.
Listen,
I don't know if they're gonna make a change. I don't know who they would change for. I don't know who's available. Illy might be the one guy who I would think is a possibility just because he's on market still. But beyond that, I actually don't know. Maybe Pred, that's the rumor. Pred comes in maybe. But your subs have been playing pretty well. So unless he decides that he wants to maybe change roles, or maybe you switch Mac to a flex and make him kind of come off of the thing he's been doing really well. There's a lot of interesting decisions to be made with this team in the next, week or so.
I saw the 4v4 Ninja Defuse. I saw attached, looking pretty angry at the boys, complaining about the situation. And I knew there and then they're going to lose this map. I knew there and then they're going to lose. I don't know if you can find it or anything like that. I don't know if anyone's got a clip.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no clips on the thing. I'll try and find it real quick.
Yeah, you guys can watch it, and that S&D, that's killed the team. That's killed the team. They would have went 2-1 up. Minimum, bare minimum. They go to a map 5. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't. They bum out the tournament.
Look at those the score lines, like 250, 243, 6-5, 2-3, a close protocol. Like, bro, they're literally that's my problem with this team. The ceiling on this team is higher than any other. It's higher than any other lower team. They just need something to into that, reach their potential, because it's not hitting, bro. Something is off.
Need to blow it up. That's what I need to do.
Yeah, there was some serious rounds in here. I mean, like,
how many changes would you make?
Attach got 1v1'd on.
How many changes would you make, Trey?
I think any team that's in a situation like this, I've always said 2-man change, always. Do I know who they pick up? No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Which 2 and 4 who? Sometimes,
I mean, listen, you can also wait to see what other players get dropped too. Like, let's say Skies goes away, you know what I'm saying?
It was this
Maybe you pick up a Skies. Maybe you pick up a Priester, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's players that aren't playing well on other teams, but could be fit for you know what I'm saying?
Priest is a little crazy. The Priest suggestion was a little crazy there.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's players that are going to get dropped, and they're going to perform better on other teams. That's just the way it is.
I get that.
I mean, my take on the team is, like, look, to stay as respectful as it is possible to be, I look at this scoreboard, I look at the performances so far this season, and if Attach's name instead said accuracy, like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Jesus Christ, man. The guy's a coach now. Why is he getting daggered? What the hell is happening? What's wrong with you, man? He can't even be in peace in retirement? Like, what the hell is this?
Okay, my bad, Lamar. I think the point I'm trying to make is like Attach's numbers this season are just like what you'd expect from a slow, kind of washed up AR. Like, am I not right? Like he's playing slow on the map. His damage is kind of low, and like his KD's pretty terrible. Like, I love Attach as much as everyone else does. He's a great guy. His mother's great. I don't want to talk trash, but like at some point you gotta call out that Attach has been playing ass so far this year, and you know Lamar's the coach, and Lamar is somehow still living vicariously through the thumbs of Attach. Like, this is what we're seeing on the server so far this season. And now that Sim has improved, Attach is the man in the hot seat. In my opinion, Sim was never going anywhere anyway, because he was always the more talented of the ARs. Kremp's been their best player, probably. Mac had a difficult series here, but he bloody broke his knee somehow, and he's still been one of their best players. So it's like, if you're gonna make a team change, it's tough to say. This is the problem, in my opinion, of building a friendship team, because it's tough to say, but like, if Lamar is doing his job right, there's one player who is most likely the candidate that might need to get replaced on this team. And that is a real challenge when it's someone who you've been boys with for, you know, nigh on a decade in COD. You know, that's just my perspective, I think. Do you think that was harsh, Trey? Like, was that too much?
I mean, your tactical rap. I will say though, just prior to this,
Rap just judo kicked the entire, like, the whole squad right there. I don't know what just happened. Rap just slammed everyone.
I was hanging out with some of the families, you know, the mothers, the fathers of the players. Just want to let it be known that they all love Dope Check.
Dope Check for the family.
And the reason they love Dope Check is because we don't bullshit. And Attach's mum, Kim, absolutely love her. And she saying, I love the guy. I love you guys' show. The way you just talk about, you know, you talk about it as if it is. I was like, yeah, no, you know, we give constructive criticism. We give constructive criticism. You ain't playing very well, is you?
Stop it. I don't like. I try to be constructive, you know, but like, because Attach, you know, he's still a great player. It's just on this team right now, it ain't working.
It's the same for a lot of people, though. I guarantee you, stick him in a different team, he fries. I didn't like this team from the start. I don't like it now.
To me, there's another thing about watching this team play. We talk about it a lot when we watch the successful teams, but it's the pacing. It's the pace of the game and the pace of teams catching up with it. Mac and Kremp, they're playing on pace. You watch them, they're moving at all times. When you watch even Celium now, when you watch him move around the map, yeah, he has his moments where he's a little bit slower, but he's getting to his spots and banging it out. When you watch late, like maybe not this event for Dante, but like the last few weeks, you watch the qualifiers. The ARs on this team, if you watch them play versus any of the top teams play, top 6 teams even play, the pacing of the ARs is completely different. So I think now Dante's kind of stepped it up. Dylan has still yet to step it up. I don't know. I think it's a tough call to make, because who do you get to replace him? Like we said, we got to kind of see who gets dropped, where challengers players go, and who's available, basically, at the end of the day, because there's been years in COD, there's been teams in COD that don't separate, because truly, there's not a better player out there than the guy sitting on our roster right now. Even if he's not playing well, it's better to take a chance on him than it is to find someone brand new. There's times where you just fall into an unfortunate situation like that. So,
I will say this
I don't know
about
exactly
this team.
what happens.
I will say this about this team. Everyone calls it a friendship team. And you would think that would give this team a good buff for team chemistry, team camaraderie, all that kind of stuff. Now, when things aren't working out in game, let's take me and Donnie Temp, for example. Love Donnie outside the game. He'd probably say the same thing. Did I like him inside the game? No, I didn't. Now, when things are going wrong inside the game, that's going to affect the team chemistry and whatever like that. I think the team's in a bad spot. I think they need to make a change, regardless how good of friends they actually are. No, they're supposed to be like, we had an argument if they were a top 4 team this year. I said no, and there's a reason for that. They're not. They need to make a change, and they need to make it fast.
Let's talk another team. We've got plenty to get through here. We'll come back to OpTic. I want to come back to them a little bit because
OpTic cheese. Well, it's fine.
It's good work out of me.
Hey, tell all your friends and family that we're going to talk about OpTic in about 10 minutes, though.
Yeah,
let them know.
If you like the stream, we'll talk about OpTic. Let's get
Hey, if we don't get over 800 views, we won't talk about OpTic. Run it up.
Yeah, let's get that up to 300 likes, and we'll get the OpTic segment rolling. But we've got to go through all the teams anyways. We'll do Toronto.
Attach, welcome to the Beijing Bengals from Jack Walker, 2 pounds. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, Jack Walker. I'm sorry I didn't get to run into you this weekend. It was a busy weekend. I didn't get to find everyone, unfortunately. But yeah, thanks to the 2. Appreciate that. Toronto. I thought they were frying in the first round. They absolutely slammed Surge. Then they got slammed by FaZe. They didn't even play that bad against FaZe. They lost one of the greatest maps of all time in COD history. And then they went down 3-2 to the Ravens. Interesting, though, because I think it was Beans who was saying that he feels that they're the best team. There's rumors anyway that these guys are cooking in their practice, but translating that to LAN. I think the main player to look for here, to be honest, is, I don't know. It's a debate. Thieves has been pretty good for these guys so far. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know. There's some translating the online to LAN type thing is still a bit of a question, I think, for me with Joe. I wouldn't remove from anything. I don't think the team needs to make any changes, but I think I was hoping for a bit more. Then again, they've been beaten 2-5 by Ravens in Search. It is what it is. I guess sometimes it happens. So maybe Ultra okay, but I think that if you're Ultra, you're looking at this tournament and you're seeing Heretics get 3rd. You're seeing Ravens get 4th, and you're thinking we should have at least been in the mix there on the Sunday.
Yeah, if you guys remember my take from last year that Joe Thieves, he's good online, but he's a breaker on LAN. I've said this before about him. I don't think it's as true as it once was, but it's early in the year, right? It's Major 1, new game. People are finally in that LAN setting. He is a younger guy. So I think it could be a case of the nerves maybe getting to him a little bit, maybe a little bit too amped and just not playing his best. It's not easy with these matchups, right? You're playing Carolina and FaZe to get ejected out of a tournament. It's not easy to really get warmed up or kind of have an easier type of start and progression into the tournament. So yeah, I'm not chalking it up. I think it's just a bad event out of the subs, and Joe Thieves maybe was a little hectic for a Major 1. I think they have success in Major 2 throughout the online stage, obviously. And I think they place better Major 2. So I have high hopes for them still, regardless of this performance.
Yeah, no team changes from me. They just got to get better at S&D.
Yeah, the thing is, their search was so good online for a while. I think what did impress me and what I was happy about this tournament is that Insight actually did play pretty well, because I was very critical of his play online. I just think that, and Selim has, I think, proven this, that you cannot be just an Iron Boots AR in this game. It just doesn't work, especially with the way the meta currently is. Attach, Skies, Insight, even maybe, I don't want to say Dashy to some extent, but if Dashy plays the way that he did last year, it's not going to work. He's got to play, and Selim, it's the same story for him. Since he's playing quicker, it's actually much more effective. And Insight did not, he's still Insight, but he wasn't doing nothing on the map. He was being impactful there. And I think that was kind of important for him. So yeah, Insight and Beans, Clinton, Joe Thieves. I think these guys will make championship Sundays this season, maybe multiple. I think they'll make at least one. Whether they can make a final, still think that's a question because, to be honest, if FaZe and Thieves players they did this weekend, I don't know if anyone else is making a final.
My thing about this team, or any slow AR in general, is this game does not benefit a slow AR. And it didn't benefit it last year either. Look what happened when Celium Chet actually fucking started moving and getting that left stick moving. He became, you know, everyone was calling him to be dropped. Now he's a fucking demon again. Regardless if it's KD, you know, I look at production on the map. And if you're a slow AR, you're not producing. Cell, he's a slow AR, but he knows when to get moving now. When before he was just slowing down and just, you know, keeping his boots tucked into the dirt. Now he's moving. I think a lot of players could learn from it. Skies, for example, you know, it's not time to be slow. Insight, you know, he had a good event. He had some good matches. I think if they got absolutely slammed by FaZe, we'd have a different discussion. But because they played a very good hardpoint and they didn't get slammed in the series, so to speak, I think this team just needs some more time. But I feel like they need to speed up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like they have room for improvement, but it's not anything where it's so bad that you need to rock the boat just yet. It's Major 1, right? You played well online. You went to a Major. You got bopped. You had tough matchups, honestly. So give it some time. See what your storybook kind of ends up writing.
Okay, Rokkr. Did Paul X save his career this event? Because I think he did. There was a map 4. I think it was against Cloud9.
Cloud9, I think. Yeah. That map saved his career. He started 2-11 or 2-14, I can't remember.
Yeah,
and
2
he brought
10,
it back.
I think he was.
And he say, I feel like he saved his career. And I think he knew it too.
Yeah, and he actually still played. He played pretty well all tournament, to be fair, Paul. And then they went up against Miami and they nearly bloody hit them with the full sail map 5. Didn't quite happen. Paul X in the end was in the 1 versus 3 and he got a couple. I think Paul as well. This is probably true for many players in the current state of the game. But when he had a sub in his hands, when he had the jackal out, like, he looked pretty good. So I think there's a few AR players that are in that position, really, where if they can start bringing out a couple more, subs when necessary, then some of their players might look a little bit different to where they've currently been. But, yeah, I think for Rokkr, it's interesting, because going into this tournament, I would have said if they lose relatively early on, it might be time to blow it up. And Paul X should have been the man in the hot seat. After this event, it's pretty difficult to say whether they should do anything. But obviously, they've still not had a very good run. I mean, they did have a good result of this tournament, but they only won 2 matches in the qualifiers. They started in losers. Yes, they did get top 4 at the minor, and now they've come top 6 of the tournament. So maybe for Rokkr, it's good enough to keep the team together. But yeah, I'm still a bit concerned. I think the great news is that Estriel has really been delivering for them.
I don't know where I understand that he had a map or a series that he's performing decently in, but I want to give you guys an overarching. I just want to give you guys numbers, okay? That event, Paul X, KD, 0.94. His Slayer rating, 81. His respawn KD, 0.95. BP rating, 0.98. I don't know about saving his career, but if I'm Rokkr management or I'm the other guys in the team, I still know that if we can get a better AR player, even one that gets dropped, guys, I don't care. Honestly, Priesta even. I think you have a better chance with those guys leading this team, adding some veteranship and experience to this team than with Paul X going into another stretch of a major that's largely online and into another tournament. Yeah, you finished middle of the pack at a major. Woohoo. Good for you. But the goal is not that, obviously. The goal is improvement. And you have 3 guys who are great shooters. Estriel's good. Gio holds his own. He may bait, but he holds his own. Nero, for sure, shooter. We have one guy who's clearly the missing link here. He's not adding much in terms of leadership or veteranship or experience or championships or anything. No disrespect. I'm just, again, stating facts here. I just find it hard to justify to lock him in just because of a weekend, considering the entire stretch of Major 1. And this, I mean, we're having seemingly like a big AR shift in the league right now, where ARs are the ones playing badly and getting swapped in and out. So it's a good chance for Rokkr to make a big step up in this role. And I think they should do it. They become a lot better if they get a veteran or even someone just a improved, just a shooter in that role for Paul X. They become a really good team.
See, I'm okay with him dropping a 0.94 on LAN. My issue with Paul is he's fucking ass online,
Yeah.
and that's the majority of where it is at.
This
Did
is
he
the
save
reason
his
why.
career?
I mean,
Did he save his career from because they were about to go out? I think me and Rab maybe just saying he's going to save his career because theoretically he started off 2-14 and that was his career done and done for there, but he turned it around. Do his players think they could get a better AR player? Yeah, probably. But I also feel like they're, are they happy with where they finished? If you really look at the team in comparison to where a lot of teams finish, yes. Obviously, they're not. But I also think they like their team dynamic. When we was in the meeting room with them, they said what makes them so good is the fact that they're such a gritty team and they all believe in each other. And, it's just a squad of 4 that don't want to give up, which is cool. But listen, Paul's got to play better online because holy shit.
yeah, you ain't wrong. And this is why, like, as V2 said earlier, that, okay, Ultra also got top 6, but they were great online. They were 6-1 online. They've scored loads of points. They're in a comfortable position in the CDL standings. That's not true for these guys. And if you look at their wins, I mean, they've beaten a Surge team, which are fraudulent. They've beaten a New York team, which are fraudulent. And then they lost Game 5 to Heretics. So it's not like, oh, wow, like, what a run to top 6. Like, Miami could have come top 6 this event. And if they had done, though, they'd have still walked away with OpTics, like crown, if you want to say it that way. Like, they beat a team of that caliber.
They by far had the easiest run in the tournament. By far. They beat Heretics right there, and they end up
top 4
for
could
free.
Have beat Ravens to top 3. Imagine.
They end up top 4 literally for free. So the fact that they lost to Heretics in a Game 5 fashion, to me, is not a positive. It's actually a negative overall. It's a negative that goes across their entire Major 1 stretch. It just proves exactly their limitations and where they need to improve.
Let's go. Takrab's neck mold in the chat. Looking good today. Where is it again? This side?
Well, Trey, are you smiling at my haterade? Is that what you're smiling right now?
No, I'm smiling at Takrab's neck remote.
Oh, okay.
So I'll message me. I've got
today,
like to get it checked out or whatever, right? Just in case it's like a dodgy mold. Do you know what I'm saying? But it ain't. I've been there for years.
I've got a neck mold there. It's all right.
I have one on the right side. Yeah, I got one right here.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Where's Ace's
Something about legends and neck bowls? Is that a thing? I don't know. Legends and neck bowls might be a thing, bro.
You know what it's time for? Neck bowl. It's time for OpTic, baby. Let's lock it in. Time to talk about the green wall. You guys hit the like goal on the stream. I don't know if we actually did. Okay, we got some more.
No, they hit the viewer goal though. They hit the
viewers.
They hit the viewer goal. That means
like
we're
the
talking
stream, baby.
about
250.
OpTic,
We're
baby.
235. Let's go, baby. Let's keep
go.
it up. OpTic time.
Okay, gentlemen, what the hell happened this weekend? The boys turned up. They were feeling gassed. Dashy flew in business class, as did the rest of the guys. You gotta think they're well rested. You gotta think they slept nicely on the flight. You gotta think they turned up on the first day. They were thinking in Miami, that's gonna be a walk in the park, gonna slam these cats out of the server. That ain't what happened. They went down to Miami. They then took down Gentlemates, and then they lost to Ravens 3-1, which was probably the most shocking thing of all. I mean, maybe it wasn't shocking, but given all the trash they've talked on Ravens in recent weeks. Oh, interesting. I think the problem is for OpTic, on some level, is that whatever they do now online, the fans are going to have their concerns that this shit ain't going to happen when they get to a LAN environment again. Because they just came in as the #1 seed to this event, and how many times have we seen this before? They managed to go down to the first round, but their hardpoint was absolutely abysmal. And I mean, look, it was Kenny that was disastrous in that Skyline hardpoint map 4. Because apart from that, I mean, the red card was great. The Hassie control was great. No issues there. They lost the Vault, which was a surprise. But it happens. First map of the tournament. Like, it happens. Come out a little bit slow. the map 4 was the one that you can't lose, and especially important, I thought, to me in this series was the fact that after losing the map 4, they then just mentally collapsed game 5, which is something that you don't tend to see, the best teams doing. Then they dropped down to losers. They beat Gentlemates. We talked about that. And then they went down to Ravens 3-1, losing. I mean, they probably should have come back to honor the protocol, to be honest, but they didn't. Then they lost the red card, the protocol. I mean, getting 3'd on the protocol, absolutely nowhere to be found. Abysmal tournament for basically their whole team. Like, it was... Hook was the only bright spot, really. Like, Shotzi, Dashi, Kenny all had pretty poor weekends. And it's a little bit confusing as to why. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Ace, but it's another one of these tournaments. And I think the stat on this is kind of interesting that Dashi and Shotzi as a duo, they've played something like 20 tournaments together now. You might expect that out of those 20 tournaments they've placed, and most of them, they'd be top 4, right, you would think. Out of those 20 tournaments, I think 8 of them they've placed top 6 or worse. So nearly half the tournaments they've played together, they've been top 6 or worse, which is pretty bad. They've also won quite a bit, and including a world championship. But the consistency is still what holds them back.
So I had them as my favorites coming in because they just looked pretty unreal, like coming into the last half of the online qualifier. They looked like they kind of pieced it together a bit, and chat was doubting. They were like, yeah, OpTic is going to come to LAN and Hookah is going to be this type of player. But really, it's just been absolutely confusing because Hook comes to LAN, doesn't fall apart, is their best player. The rest of the guys fall apart. The only thing that's been a continual factor, I guess, is Kenny being underwhelming in this game. But it's a game where the ARs are actually in a partial disadvantage. So I'm not going to harp too heavily on Kenny as the sole reason why this team didn't play well. They just came into this tournament, it seems like, kind of coasting. Not everything they did online looked like it was thrown out the window. It looked like they were scrambling a lot more. It looked like a lot of the strategies just weren't coming through. If I'm me, and I'm really thinking about this, I'm going back to my original thought and my original roster. If you got to kind of bring it back, yeah, Hook has been great and all, but if you can get your original team back together, it might be worth doing. Or the alternative is Kenny goes. I don't think Kenny should go. I don't want him to go, but I'm just giving I'm giving the ideas here. Kenny goes, and then you bring back AG as a flex player. But I don't know if I love that so much. I don't know exactly. I don't know if I love that so much. Some fans might be saying some craziness like that. I don't know if I love that so much. Personally, I think you just bring back the main roster. This team had their run. Major 1 wasn't that great, but they had a great online qualifier. So your choices, I think, is go back original or just run it back again to Major 2 with the same exact roster and fix the mistakes. Clearly, you had a bad weekend. It happens. Life happens. Continue on. Same team, same roster, or bring in AG and run it back again. Those are my personal only 2 suggestions for OpTic at this time.
Well, we can chalk up the AG thing because we spoke about this a numerous amount of times, and even Shotzi, AG ain't coming back to this roster. We all know that. Shotzi said it before. We know he ain't coming back. My take on OpTic is, now, it all depends if you guys are going to agree with me or not, but I said it before. I think Kenny is focused too much on what other people are doing on the map rather than his own gameplay. And I think that is because you look at World War II Kenny, for example. He had Lamar, the fucking war general, the chief, telling him, what to do. He didn't need to focus on anyone else, just his own game. Now he's teamed with players that are very fast, can make the plays and stuff like that. He's trying to, not saying dictate it, but he's also trying to control it, let's just say, and not, and that's why he's not focused on his own game. I'm just spitballing here. You guys can disagree if you guys don't agree. I think he's stressing about what everyone else is doing on the map other than what he's doing on the map. And maybe that's screwing him over a little bit. He's trying to, talk perfectly, trying to get him to play perfect COD. Another thing about this OpTic team is I feel like that they know on paper that they're going to be, let's just say, against this Heretics team, they know they're better than this team by a country mile, talent-wise. and you give them this game 9 times out of 10 online, they probably win it. But I feel like when they play FaZe and Thieves, they know it's FaZe and Thieves, and they go 10 times harder. When they play against a team like this, I personally don't feel like they try as hard because they know they should win this 10 times out of 10.
This, I think, is where this whole performance, like, coaching thing comes back into play for me, because how many times have we seen it over the years, especially in recent years, where OpTic will, like, they'll lose game 1 to a team that they expect to beat, and then mentally they're in a tough spot for the series. Now, to be fair, in this case, they bounced back and they won map 2, they won map 3. But after losing game 4 and going game 5, Hassy search, it just felt, I don't know, the vibes felt strange from OpTic this weekend. Looking at them on the main stage, like, I don't want to say they're like checked out or whatever, but sometimes you look at the player cams, you see, I mean, they were going map 5 and Kenny had his head in his hands and all this stuff. Like, it wasn't laughter and jokes like it normally is. So I think they knew that they weren't playing at the level that they were trying to get to. Hook is unfazed by all of this stuff. It just doesn't affect him. Like, he just plays and fries and does well. But Kenny on a 16 death streak. Like, look, I rate Kenny as much as any LA Thieves, fan from 2022. Like, I think Kenny is incredibly important piece of why they won that world championship last year, and without him it wouldn't have been the same story. But it's not like he's immune to criticism, and he knows that his own gameplay hasn't been good enough in the circumstances. I know there's been some people that say, well, would Kenny be better running the sub? Because we know that he's done it in the past. The game is there as an option. We saw it back in World War II, or in Vanguard, sorry, well, in World War II and also in Vanguard, when the team was in a bit of a shambles. Him and DRAZAH changed roles. Kenny went to the sub, and it worked out very well. And you're not going to put Hook on the flex, but the point is that maybe you put Kenny on the third sub as much as you possibly can. Some maps where that absolutely works, and maybe that's something they should be considering. To be honest, Dashi was a complete non-factor this weekend. I barely even noticed him on the map. And Shotzi had a couple of moments, but even then, for all the trash talk, they weren't able to back it up. And I think there's a few things that lead to this, really. I think we even saw some evidence of it in their scrims. Like, this is why streaming scrims is interesting from OpTic's side, because, it is quality over quantity. In my opinion, getting down to the wire of the scrim results that these teams have had, you tend to see, like OpTic, for example, they played a scrim the other day, and like they went last map and then they like rage quit the scrim. They called it off. They didn't finish the scrim, whatever. And maybe it's not a big deal, but I think OpTic were in a position where certainly after they started to feel good, they looked like they were going to be the #1 seed. They then beat Toronto very emphatically. They were feeling like, they weren't going to be able to lose, especially against a team like this. And then all of a sudden something goes wrong, and then you've got a problem. So I don't think they should be doing anything in terms of the roster. I think we know the potential of this team. They know the potential of this team. I think what they've got to really have a good internal think about is how they want to approach the game, not just in the game, but also outside of the game as well. Because if you watch what FaZe and Thieves did this weekend, from top to bottom, from approach to the game, from like a practice perspective, from approach at events as well, in terms of how serious they take things, and also even the way they approach the game in terms of how they play control. Like, and just for example, it's not like OpTic are bad at control, but I don't think it's as efficient as the way some of these other teams play it. So for me right now, OpTic, like, they will make championship Sundays this season. They will likely make grand finals this season. Whether they can win, it wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement this weekend.
These I think that, again, they're gonna get a lot better if they stick it out, considering they have a lot more VOD to watch of how teams are playing actually in a LAN environment and such. This makes the top teams get a lot better after Major 1. If you watch year to year, Major 1s is when a lot of growth and development happens for the teams that have the capability and players that are able to integrate like changes into their gameplay. Watching that grand finals with LA Thieves, FaZe, and watching all those matches up to the grand finals, if you don't think these guys are sitting down watching VODs, taking S&D strats, certain breaks and hard points, certain openings from even control openings and such from other teams and stealing them, and then bringing it back to their own practice in the next couple days and going into Major 2, you're crazy. You're faded. OpTic is a team with some of the most intelligent players and a coach that's, again, a generational, absolute one of the top players in the entire esport. So whether they performed well or bad here, I'm not, even if they keep the same roster, I'm not breaking too badly. Yes, people got to step it up. Kenny, this, Dashy, whatever, all that. But I actually think they're going to be okay, considering they're going to absorb a lot of knowledge, and they're one of the teams that can put it back out there and replicate it 10 times better than, any, let's say 80% of the teams in this league. So OpTic will be fine. They had an off tournament. Yeah, there's maybe one change possible out there. Who knows? Probably not. But outside of that, I mean, they have a lot of points. They played well online. They're not in any type of risk of missing champs or any type of risk of not being in the top 4. So I think they're okay. I think they're okay, and fans have every reason to be mad, but it's not a red flag for me completely for this team going into the future.
My biggest listen, I know this doesn't really have anything to do with the with the current situation, but the biggest myth to me on planet Earth will be how Kenny was one of the best subs in the world and then changed to an AR.
Yep.
That will be
one
one of
about this.
That will be one of the. He would listen. In my opinion, Kenny would have gone down as a top 5 sub of all time if he stayed in a sub. I have no idea why he changed. Obviously, he didn't like the Sorg or whatever like that. But listen, he's still the most winningest CDL player. I think about that every time I see Kenny play, and I wish he never changed.
Yeah, there's a few players like that I just don't understand why. They won chips, they won championships, even under, being a sub. So switching to me just sounds like.
And obviously, like you obviously weren't very good, so there's obviously a reason he changed. But like, yeah, he changed in Black Ops 4.
Yeah. No, you're right. But as I said earlier, it's the same thing that happened in Vanguard. That team started out the year pretty slow. It still blows my mind how the team of Octane, DRAZAH, Kenny, and Envoy were pretty bad for a good chunk of the time they played together. They were just bad. And then they figured a couple of things out. They brought Shane in, they put Kenny on sub, and all of a sudden they became, one of the most dominant forces that we've ever seen in recent COD. So, there's a lot for OpTic to think about. This is where they got to lock in. And the other important thing for OpTic to note is that their first series that they play back after this tournament, I mean, obviously these are some of Kenny's recent numbers that are going to cause obviously a bit of controversy, but their run looks like this. So they play both FaZe and Thieves in their upcoming run, which is very exciting. And their first game back is FaZe. So, it doesn't get any more, not exactly
but
pressure.
in true OpTic fashion, they'll just come back online and beat FaZe.
They'll beat FaZe 3-2, no sweat. Move on, go 6-1 of the qualifiers.
Thieves. They'll beat FaZe 3-0. Everyone's like, OpTic are fucking back. They'll lose 3-0 to Thieves. Everyone goes, fucking hell, Kenny needs to be dropped again. They'll go to the Major. They'll make the finals. Everyone's like, fucking hell. Imagine if we had Pred, we'd probably win the event. And they'll go to, OpTic are a fucking whirlwind.
They are whirlwind.
It's a pleasure.
You're so right, though. I do find this funny that people are like, Rab, well, you always talk about OpTic. But there's always something with OpTic, man. I don't know what it is. You can't get away from it. There's always something brewing at the green wall, whether it's some sort of roster drama or a surprise result. And obviously they're the biggest team anyway, so it amplifies everything. But there's always something around the corner with this team.
Yeah. OpTic's fine, man. One bad result is not going to change my full take on a team.
I don't think you're wrong. I just think there's a lot. It's another one of these tournaments, and EWC was another one where, I wouldn't say OpTic needed to turn up to the tournament and win it exactly. They'd literally just won champs, But there was lots of talk at EWC that certain teams were not as well prepared. You know, could they have got there and could they have figured out the jet lag situation better? Could they have turned up to the event more prepared? I don't know. It's just things like that in terms of consistent execution that OpTic aren't always, you know, OpTic can always turn up on a weekend and catch fire. They did it last season. They played some of the best COD you've ever seen on Sundays at Toronto last year and Sunday at the World Championship, of course, as well. But FaZe and Thieves, especially Thieves, I thought were very impressive. Obviously, FaZe won the event, but the fact that Thieves, this is their first event as a team, struggled online to some degree. They turned up on LAN and they delivered some of the highest quality COD you're going to see. OpTic could have done the same thing, but they didn't. And FaZe, they now look scarier than ever in some respects. Like, maybe they've sorted out their issues in finals. Maybe DRAZAH sorted out his issues beating Scrappy on LAN, whatever the case is. And that's the level, you know? Like, I think everyone watched that Sunday and was like, damn, like, they were way better than anyone else at the tournament. And OpTic also have the talent to get there, but do they have the approach that FaZe have? Do they have the approach that Thieves have? Not as far as I'm concerned at the moment. So, you know, I think this might be an important wake-up call for OpTic, is the bottom line. They might go home and say, okay, we might need to change at least something about the way we approach things if we want to get to where FaZe are at the moment.
They might. I mean, if they. I mean, this is my take, but if they really want to win, they got to bring in a performance coach. You know, they really got to lock it in. And
bro, I actually feel like it would help them, though.
No, it would.
It would
I'd say
them.
jokingly, just to do like a little callback to earlier in the episode, but really, realistically, not only a performance coach, but I hate that with this team, even last year, it takes such an extreme loss or such an extreme wake-up call for them to bring it back. So Major 2, again, they might be absurd. They might have this wake-up call, go super hard in practice, and be the best team and not lose a single game all the way in Major 2 and end up in the finals of Major 2. Because that's just the peaks and valleys of being not only an OpTic fan, but how OpTic has played just year to year. Remember, everyone remembers Major 4 last year, obviously. So, like, it's just how OpTic work. They have to get woken up in order to take everything way more serious, lock back in, and then they look like the greatest team ever assembled.
Let's get to the top 4. We've got a couple more teams to cover. You know what? I'll leave Miami for a second. Need Trey's take on that one. But we've got to talk Ravens because, I mean, you look at the Ravens team, they came in here and they kind of did their job, right? They're meant to kind of be a dark horse. They delivered the result at the minor. They come into this tournament. TJ Halley puts on a bit of a masterclass. Look, I will say, you look at their tournament, they got absolutely embarrassed, taken apart by Thieves in the first round. I mean, if you'd have told me a team that nearly got 100 point clubbed over 2 separate maps in Hardpoint would be getting top 4 at the tournament, I'd have laughed you out the door. But somehow they made it work. They then beat Falcons. So, you know, congratulations. They beat OpTic that played poorly. And then Toronto was a 3-2 win, which was reasonably impressive before then losing to Miami. So it was a good run from Ravens to Sunday. Great to see Slasher back on a Sunday. TJ's been playing pretty well, but his final series wasn't so good. I guess the takeaway is for me, if you're Ravens, how happy are you with this result? Vivid was playing with one eye the majority of the weekend.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I'm Ravens, like, I go home and I'm like, wow, that was good. I got top 4, but you're not expecting to get that many top 4s, and you've got to think that you could have gone one better. The reality is that Ravens were not getting close to making the finals or winning it with the way that those guys are playing. But losing to Miami is still a bit of a dagger. You'll feel like you should have won that one. But commendable performance overall.
They played a good series against Miami too, and Miami were on smoke this event.
It also very close.
So credit where credit's due. This series could have went anywhere. They could have definitely got third at the event. I feel like you look at the way they play. They play as a team. They're a nice team to watch. They're an exciting team to watch. I think that Vivid playing with one eye certainly doesn't help, and probably didn't help like team morale as well. It just, you know, certain situations where you'd be like, fucking hell, if he had 2 eyes, you might have won that round or something like that. You know? I think for the circumstances they were put in with Vivid, I think they will be happy with the event. I think they just got to get better at hardpoint. I don't think you can come in against a top team like Thieves and struggle to get near 100, struggle to get over 100 points in 2 maps. I don't feel like that's going to be consistent enough for you. But it also could have just been, credit to Thieves for being as good as they are, and Ravens might not even, struggling just in that series. So I think, congratulations to Ravens for a good tournament. They didn't bow out. They didn't lose form from online, I guess. I feel like they had a good tournament, and no team change, no nothing. If I'm Ravens, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm probably a bit disappointed I lost to Heretics, but Heretics had a little bit of a buff this event too, and Heretics played well. Before we get into Heretics, I don't want anyone to think I'm just a massive Spanish hater. They came in and Spanish COD done what Spanish COD does. It's going to work one event, it might not work the next event. But for Ravens, I'd be happy if I was Slasher, especially with the boys. Gwyn's back. He played well this event. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Carolina's a good team. They are the dark horse of the season. The roster itself, when it was formed early on, I was excited about it. I thought it had all the components to make a difference, right? Leadership, young gun, experienced S&D player, and a guy to do the dirty work, right? The COD team structure is there. I'm happy. If I'm them, I'm really happy with what's happening. You're developing your chart, right? Your trajectory of your team is exactly where you want it to be after this online split, after Major 1. You just kind of, grow on top of it. I think it's 4 guys who are very passionate about Call of Duty in general. Like, Slasher loves it. Gwyn loves it. PJ breathes, all these guys live and die with COD. So you have 4 guys like that who hold this kind of passion early in their careers, late in their careers. It's a recipe for success along with just pure talent. So I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of this team in general, and I think they're going to do something large going into the rest of the year.
My question is for you. Did Gwyn prove himself on LAN this event, or did he not? Because he was good. He had an okay event. I think he had like a 1.03 or 1.04, something like that.
Yep.
And he was fine, but maybe he still wasn't quite as good as he sometimes is online. And there were some moments, I think, especially towards the end of the Miami series, where he'll look back at what he was doing on the minimap and think of what the hell was that about. So, still think there's something to be said about Gwyn's translation online to LAN, but I think he's probably getting there.
Yeah, he's a young guy. Oh, go ahead, Trey, go.
No, I was going to say, listen, 1.21 online qualifiers going into an event, 1.03. You can't expect him to drop a 1.2 on LAN coming from an online like that. If he went 0.9, you'd be like, wow, he's back to this, he's back to that. But I feel like they got slammed in some of these maps, and they still managed to all do pretty consistent working together. No one carried, no one got shit on. I think, looking at these KDs, Reese got a little bit better in S&D on LAN. I feel like that's when Reese just got to get better online in terms of S&D in particular. His overall online's pretty good. His hard point's good. His S&D is a 0.65. His controls are 0.94, and his hard point's a 1.04. So Reese just needs to get better at S&D online. But they need to take this momentum from the event and go back online and, start locking in for these matches. Because these matches that they got coming up, they've got Thieves. They've got a hard run. They've got Thieves, they've got Ultra, they've got Rokkr, they've got Texas, Cloud9, Miami, and then Vegas. So they're guaranteed 10 points.
That is actually that is a tough run.
It's a tough run, and if I'm Ravens, I'm happy to come out of that. 4-3, 5-2. If we're looking at on a realistic schedule. So listen, this Ravens roster is exciting to watch, and it's a pleasure to see Slasher, like you said, back on a Sunday. I'd like to see him get third this event and not lose to Miami the way they did. But, things happen. Surely it can only get better.
Yeah, I'm gonna make, again, this team, Young Gun, Gwyn, I know you brought the point of him, but again, above a 1.0, 1.03, 82 Slayer rating, above a 1.0 in respawn. That's exactly what you want from a guy like that. You know, you want him performing, not doing the numbers last year. I think he had events where he had like 0.86s and 0.88s and stuff. That's a big fallout. That's a danger zone for a player, but his growth is phenomenal. He is, you know, probably the best young gun in the league right now. I would give him attached smarts, gunny, everything in one player. He's exactly what you want, and he's going to be a dangerous force in the league to come. Vivid is a guy who needs to just. He's not bad. Like Vivid's bad at points, but he's just the guy who's doing the dirty work. So if Vivid even gets a little better, if Vivid can just get a couple extra, or Vivid can place himself in a better spot a few more times, that's going to be monumental for this team, because you have 3 guys who pretty much don't make mistakes too often. One guy who makes a few blackout mistakes here and there. You correct those. You watch back the VOD. You smart players, good leader, good coach. You guys look back at what other teams are doing, implement it in your gameplay, and you know you can make a big run. You can make a big splash going into Major 2 and ahead in the CDL.
Let's talk Miami, right? Quickly before we talk the grand finals and those 2 teams, because I mean, great tournament from, I think, Real and Renkor especially. My guy Renkor absolutely delivering. Thought that was really cool to see. His interview with the main stage, I thought it was brilliant.
Super is fuming.
Super is fuming because Lucky somehow turned up to this tournament and actually cut. I mean, look, to be fair, I look at their overall numbers here. This is overall season, to be fair, not just the major. But Lucky had a good event, this event, just when he needed it for Super not to get the spot. I mean, this team is individually, I find it hilarious. I was watching it on the Watch Party this weekend, and I swear it's true every single map. If you look at some of their series that they play, let's just say against the Ravens, for example, right? I'll just take this as an example one. It probably is going to fit my narrative. If you look at every map they play, someone is getting fried and someone is frying. It's just how it is. Like, Trey isn't wrong about Spanish COD. I just think, like, my mentality on this team has often been, and you know, they are a great upset potential team because they shoot very straight and they play in a pretty unorthodox manner. I mean, you can see here, like, Metals is almost double negative map 1. Like, Rail has a banger. Game 2, Metals has 15 kills and Renkor has 2. And then map 3, Lucky has 27 and 15 and Metals is triple negative. And then map 4, okay, maybe it's not that dissimilar this time, but you've still got Lucky with a 1.44, right? So, like, and the teams that they play against, you don't see this. I mean, you do see it, obviously, but, like, for example, in the Thieves game or whatever, to be fair, everyone was getting Kentucky fried in this, but there was a couple of series that they played where the other team, the numbers were quite equal, and on Miami, someone's just getting farmed and someone's frying, but it was a great story for the event as well. Like, I think looking back at what we said at the start of the show about Heretics, you know, and the home event and the fact that they were the team to make the run, shows that there's some interesting storylines out there in COD. But, I mean, their run was impressive. At the end of the day, they beat Ravens and Rokkr to get top 3 after beating OpTic in the first round and got, you know, the first series against Thieves was competitive. There, of course, was the red card drama as well that we'll show now, the Hydra stare glitch.
See, listen, before we continue, this is how I know people don't listen to what I say. I've never once said Spanish COD doesn't work. I just said it's inconsistent. This event they got 3rd, and I will commend them. I commend them. I even said it before the event. I hope they come out and show that, so I can, give them praise. You're gonna see this. It's happened for years. You're gonna see them. Sometimes they're gonna get 3rd. Sometimes they're gonna get top 12. They live or die by it. That's what I'm saying. Congratulations to them. I'm happy for him. Renkor, I see that guy walking around the stadium. That guy's got a smile on his face 24/7. It's nice to see him doing well. I've always said Spanish COD is that you can watch every episode. You go and live or die by how they play.
In addition, this game is most rewarding to their style of play. Being fast, gunning, moving, and then being a decent S&D team, I think puts you in a really good position. For them to make noise in this game. I said about them as well that as games develop on and teams start learning the strats, and again, those watching VOD and implementing all the different aspects, will they be one to hold up? Is my big question. So I wasn't really too focused on for them Major 1. Major 1 is, who knows, probably they would do well just because of the fact that it's running gun COD. But by Major 2 and 3, if they can keep this up, that would be impressive to me. That would be something to me that's like worth really noting. They got really far in this tournament. They beat OpTic. That's amazing. They deserve their credit. But I'm really focused on the future for them. And if this level of output is consistent at all. Because if they can hold this up, then I'd be genuinely impressed by Heretics.
And to you move the goalpost from your original take last year, go back and record it. Send it to me, by all means. I've always said Spanish COD's just inconsistent. If Rab wants to go have a look and show you guys what I mean, just go look at the matches they played this event. There's not one smoke show. It's a fucking grit fest. Fucking look, go look at it. Go look at it. You're all gonna have a laugh. I promise you.
No, the
OpTic
series
Texas.
you want to, yeah, that series 2 is a good one. I think their series that they played against Rokkr, I think was my favorite example of this. But yeah.
Look, OpTic 3-2. 250-193, 6-1-3-0. You know, they got battered in the S&D and the control. 250, 247 and smoked them in the S&D, right? 3-2 grit fest. LA Thieves lost 3-0. Grit fest.
Yeah, it was.
3-2 versus Rokkr.
Game
Grit
5,
fest.
round 11, 1v1.
Game 5, round 11. Grit fest. 3-1 against Ravens. You'd think, oh, they absolutely smoked them. Grit fest. 250, 244, 6-5, 3-1, 250 to 237. Grit fest. And what was the last one? 3-0 versus LA Thieves.
I got smoked in that one.
Yeah, it got smoked, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just a fucking grit fest.
But this event was, I think, inevitable for this team at some point. It's just really cool that they did it on this stage at this moment. So yeah, shout out Miami Heretics, what a result. But let's talk about our finalists, right? Because, I mean, look, quick take on this. Red card, I mean, Hydra hits the stair glitch. Like, you're thinking, are they taking a day of scrims? Like, what do you think, Ace, GA Commissioner?
Man, I think, yeah, I do think that they deserve it. Again, I think the whole community kind of acknowledged it. Again, it's one day. Is it going to be the end of the world? It's the start of a Major 2 cycle.
Oh, no. One day of scrims.
Yeah, one day off. We were just in the grand finals. I don't think it's going to do much for them.
I'll take the day off where I've got Falcons scheduled. I'm like, yep.
Yeah, that's the day. No worries. That's the day I'm taking off here. But it's like, yeah, he did it. It is what it is. I didn't expect it to come from Paco, though. But, like, my surprise is the player who did it more than anything. He's usually a pretty clean-cut type of guy, so that's my most surprising part about all of it.
You watch his clip back, yeah. He sat there and gone, "Oh, I'm gonna crouch." Actually, no, I can fucking stay. Just watch it back. Just watch it back. I promise you, it's going through his brain.
Here we go.
Look, he thinks about it and he doesn't do it, and then he just goes, "Nah, fuck it, I'll do it." I'm not gonna fuck.
Yeah, that one. Look at it.
Look, he sat there. He's like crouching. Yeah, fuck it. I'll just lay down. Fuck it. Same shit.
Hopefully they're not watching me. You know.
Yeah, he's like, hopefully he doesn't know. And then you just got metals. You can't hit a fucking bullet on him.
Yeah, full metal.
And you know, metals trying to Steglish.
You see all the bullets flying over his head. Yeah, good times. But I mean,
this is like super blatant. Like around the little stair corner as well. Like you can't kill him there, bro. Like it's blatant. You know, I done an interview with Scrap. Love the guy. He said, "Listen, they're gonna have to hold that," and hold that they did.
They did hold that.
Because what can you do in an event? Like, what are you gonna do? You can't do anything. What are you gonna do when you get back? No day of scrims. All right, we ain't got COD for 2 weeks anyway. Fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. This is the issue with like, I think there was some debate on whether if you break a GA online, maybe it's a day, but if you break a GA on LAN, you know, maybe that amplifies the punishment to some extent. You know, I don't know. It's a matter for debate, but we will be talking about the two big teams Atlanta FaZe, they take the win in the grand finals. They've now won, is it 12 series in a row? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 12 series in a row they've now won. But their most 2 recent victories, they 3-0'd Boston, they 3-0'd Toronto. They get all the way down to the final couple of matches of the tournament. And this was impressive resilience, I thought, here from FaZe, right? They got slammed them at 1 red card. Look, let's talk about Thieves, first of all. They made the finals. They made it the most competitive finals that we've basically ever seen. Outside of the Vault Search and Destroy, which is, a cheese fest, let's be honest, every other map was an absolute grueler, to be honest.
Grit fest.
Like a grit fest, a complete grit fest. Game 7, round 11, we've not seen a series this competitive. Both teams deserve to win. No one really deserved to go home empty-handed, but that's how it is. And it was FaZe that iced up on both occasions when it mattered. Of course, they reverse swept Thieves in the first series. This one was, to be honest, search and destroy cheese, to be honest. Like, if you look at it, FaZe basically hit them with the Neslo. Like, they won a control and 3 searches. And that was how they got their series win. But, yeah, Thieves, I know that Hydra will be frustrated, especially with this play in the very final round of the tournament. But they played as I thought they'd play. Like, I thought they'd come at this tournament and deliver. I expected Hydra to be better. He was. I thought Envoy and Ghosty... Envoy probably would have been their MVP, to be honest, had they won the tournament. I think he was sensationally good.
Envoy's been their best player.
Yeah, but it's time to drop him for Pred, isn't that right, Trey?
Envoy's been their best player the last few weeks.
And then Ghosty had a great tournament, apart from the final.
Envoy was their best player this event.
That's for sure. I'll eat that one for sure. Envoy, I said he had to come to the tournament, shoot well, play well, team has to place well, and all the factors of things that needed to happen happened. So, yeah, no, Envoy is 100% locked in. He's playing better as of recent. In the tournament, again, he could play better into a tournament online. Some people can say, oh, look, he's so good. It's like, okay, yeah, he's playing well online into a tournament. Him delivering at the tournament now shuts down me, and I can admit, I was wrong. Envoy is I actually never said he's a bad player. I just said he wasn't performing early on. And if there's an upgrade available, that the team should take it, considering if they didn't place well and if he was the one particularly playing badly. Both those things didn't happen. So LAT are, they look just, even though they lost the grand finals, how close was it? How great of a grand finals was it? It was unbelievable. So seeing that makes me just excited for them to play more COD, see as they develop. Hopefully we see an OpTic them, FaZe them, just another grand finals like that. And we can continue the year with this kind of top-level talent on, top-level Call of Duty and top-level talent. Envoy's a good player. Is that the quote we need here? Like, is that it? I've said that 15,000 times.
I wasn't even saying it to, push you to be wrong or anything like that. I think it's just, you look at this team, you'd be like, and I even spoke to Envoy's mum about it too. You look at this team and you always think that Scrap and Hydra are going to be the superstars, which they are, like, name-wise. But the fact that Envoy was your best player this event and Hydra and Scrap are still, they could still play better. And by the way, Ghosty, the most underrated AR I've seen in a while. I don't think he gets enough credit on this team just because of the teammates he has. But dropped the S&D kill record, carried him in that S&D. This guy's got it. This guy's a good player. This team's nice. It's vibey. You see him when they hang out and stuff like that. They've got some good team chemistry. Shane and Sender have helped them out. And yeah, it's just I think if Envoy's your best player, I feel like you should be scared if you ever have a team, because then you got Hydra and Scrap and Ghosty just sat there just going, all right, fuck it, we'll turn up. Then you're all fucked. So
to be fair though, Envoy's not their best player. Scrap is. So I'm gonna say that clear cut. He was their second best player and he's been very good, but Scrap is their best player without a doubt. So I can't let that slide as if that's just what it is. Scrap,
I think Envoy was their best player this event.
Yeah, the debate is there. Again, I just think Scrap not dropping a 1.2 is almost like we have him and certain players like him, Shotzi, Simp, Celium on this type of pedestal where if they're not dropping these kind of already insane numbers, that's just like standard out of them. But no, Scrap by far is their most impactful and best player for sure. Yeah, I know Scrap got a donut. Yeah, okay, when it mattered, sometimes he didn't do what he got to do. But regardless,
he did draw the most damage in the finals by a margin.
Still the best player.
Interestingly, the second most damage was Cell, which I think is particularly telling because the last couple of years that would not have been true. That Cell was, the closest to Scrappy in terms of damage in the grand finals. But I think Ghosty, there's a couple of thoughts on him really as a player. Maybe the performance coaching will start to step in for him as well, just because Ghosty also had a great tournament, but when it comes down to the finals, I think he's now 0-3 in finals. No, he's 0-4 in finals, actually. Yeah, that's right, because he lost 2 with OpTic in Modern Warfare 2. He lost EWC last year, and now he's lost this one. And I think he's lost to DRAZAH every time he's played him on LAN. So the Scrap DRAZAH matchup is starting to look more like a rivalry, and the Ghosty DRAZAH matchup is still not looking like much of a rivalry. I think that will change in due course. For Thieves' first ever tournament, I mean, like, it was a Game 7, round 11. You can't really criticize either team. It's not like anyone got slammed. But, I mean, FaZe, we've got to give some credit to them because Thieves played some really good COD here, and there's definitely tournaments we've seen in the past where FaZe would get to finals. This used to happen a lot. FaZe would get to the grand finals, they'd look really good, they'd play a team who were playing very well, and then FaZe would lose. And it's happened multiple times over the last few years where they would seemingly run into a team playing their best COD in the grand finals and they would lose to them. And it was always a question of, oh, maybe FaZe are getting unlucky, they keep playing their teams at the top of their form and all this stuff. But, like, you know, FaZe playing their best stuff should also still be able to win. And that's what they did here. Like, Thieves played some really good stuff, and FaZe was still just a bit too good. Certainly in the searches, I was impressed by their control. I mean, the hard points are bang outs, and Thieves are generally winning them. Yeah, it was obviously a banger finals, but, like, FaZe, I don't know, it feels like they've turned a corner a little bit. Like, especially even in the winners final series, right, where they lost the game 1. They got destroyed game 1 of the red card. They nearly got 100 point clubbed on it. And they lost the red card search. To then bounce back and deliver some incredibly good offenses on the Hacienda, win the hard point, which maybe they should have lost, and then clutch them in the round 11 search was something that I don't think the FaZe team of last year would have been doing. So I think whatever the hell they've done over this Christmas New Year break, it has taken them to levels that it's going to be difficult to beat. But then again, it's like last year, Toronto dominated Major 1 and looked untouchable, and things changed very quickly. But
I agree with you 100%. I think that's one thing about every Major 1 of every year. If we look back year to year to year, I'm sure Trey could attest to this, most of the Major 1 winners tend to struggle after Major 1. Whatever that first event is, whether it's Cheese because of, like, let's say the OSA back in the day, right? Cheese because the first event is just not the same maps or modes or guns or GAs or something's different. And then also it's the learning curve, right? Because everyone lets out their best strats, best breaks, best everything. That is going to change big time. FaZe look like they're just really good, though. This might be a rare case where we see an exception, but I wouldn't be shocked to see, okay, Major 2 comes, FaZe gets kind of figured out, and then we see Toronto, OpTic, or LAT holding up the trophy at the end of Major 2. That wouldn't be shocking.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite telling who's just going to be, like, really good this year. I think with the Major 1 stuff like that, yeah. You look at, like, Ultra last year, for example, Ace, they won Major 1 and, you know, weren't really, like, crazy after that. I just feel like the league isn't as competitive in that aspect. I feel like we've got some worse teams this year, and I think, like, the records are showing that too. So I feel like this year we're going to be in, like, it's going to be a battle between FaZe, Thieves, and then you want to hope OpTic, you know, figure some shit out. You know, they came in with first seed, so you want to hope they figure it out to be, you know, competing, you know, even getting third to just say they're the top 3 teams. So it's hard when you got that man on the screen just going rogue. You know, everyone called me wrong. You know, they said, "Oh, Trey, who do you reckon's going to win?" I said FaZe. Everyone's like, "What FaZe? You guys?" Look at them at the start of the year. Simp's falling off. He needs to change. Shut the fuck up. Oh, I think we need FaZe. I think we need Simp on a flat. Shut the fuck up.
He's
I know
pretty good.
Bull. He's fucking unreal.
That guy's pretty good, man. He
Bro,
like Call of Duty.
That guy's class.
And even even at the final stat line, when you look at like a BZ, right, doesn't look like visually he had the greatest grand finals. The level of impact he had in those searches, like getting those first bloods and just make the spots he was in, bro. I know for a fact LAT were like losing their mind with how BZ was playing those searches and like the bloods he would get, the kills he was getting, the pressure he was putting on. So even like the stat line in this case doesn't exactly say how impactful FaZe's playmaking and individual player abilities are when it comes to this game and in general.
Pretty scary for the opposition. The final thing we've really got to discuss here, bit of drama, baby. We're officially back in business. Scrappy and DRAZAH up on the main stage. This was after the winners finals. Obviously, Scrappy's pretty, bummed they lost. I think.
I got one thing before you said this is the final thing. I sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
One thing I thought was, did Simp actually deserve the MVP?
Okay,
that
let's
was something
discuss that now. That's a good question. I know what Trey's gonna say.
Well, no, I thought DRAZAH kind of deserved it, but
right. That's what
I think. But see, the thing with that team is you can give it to anyone.
Again, like if we're talking whole tournament, sure. Grand finals, though, I mean, Celium or DRAZAH were the two that like.
DRAZAH made the play, man. The 3-piece running down mids when they had the RC out.
Right? Like again, DRAZAH. The argument to me is Cell for just just doing Celium things, but then DRAZAH with impact, with just pure impact. So
see, it's not like he wrongfully got it though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I think a BZ, it couldn't really have been a BZ. I think he had his moments, but he wasn't as impactful as the others. I think it could have been any of the others, to be honest.
Unfortunately, a BZ just ain't gonna get MVP on this team.
And he don't mind.
He's dirty work. He's dirty work, 100%.
It's not even dirty work. It's just unfortunately this kid just doesn't give a flying fuck and will do anything to win. And I'm not saying I'm not saying simple that won't do it. And when we say dirty work, I'm just strictly talking it. It don't matter who's first, who's last. The BZ just wants to get in there, get his job done, and it works for this team. Maybe Simp got MVP because if he didn't get that 1v4 versus Heretics, then they might not have even won this event, and they might still be chalk. So maybe you got MVP for that 1v4 a while back, but. Listen, you could have gave it to any one of these, even if a BZ got it. Fuck it, the plays that kid makes is crazy. BZ's one of those players with the plays that he makes you can't even replicate. He's one of a kind of his own, way he plays S&D. So,
yeah, I was just curious. I just thought about that too because when I saw Simp get it, I was like, I guess it makes sense he got it, but at the same time, I was like. Yeah, I could have seen it going to Cell or DRAZAH, just considering the grand finals and the impacts of the series. Yeah, you're right. Anyone could have got it besides, I guess, BZ's the only one who I would be the most shocked. But the other three, it could honestly be interchangeable. But some people were saying and talking a little bit that Simp kind of robbed the MVP from DRAZAH or Cell. So a little bit of a talking point, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely hear you on that one.
I mean, listen, it's only a talking point if people want to be like fucking bitches about it, innit? Realistically, yeah, only weirdos complain if like like I said, if a BZ got it, then people could complain about it. But Simp, DRAZAH, or Cell could have definitely won it.
Yeah, I give that. All right, now my bad cutting you off. Rad, my bad, bro.
I've just been playing the clip. I mean, I will say to DRAZAH. Look, he's going to talk his shit. He's going to say what he thinks. He's going to say, the super team, what are you talking about? I'll break that and all this. And he's going to have an ego about it. And I'll tell you, DRAZAH's ego is absolutely 100% deserved. This guy is actually him. He delivered in the grand finals when it was necessary to deliver. He's with the trio since RCTs has been around, has delivered the most success with the roster. I don't think that should be a massive surprise.
Yeah.
But this is a funny
Before we talk about this, Vivid just DM'd me.
Hit me.
I don't disagree. Our HP needs work, but I also could barely see versus LEC out my right eye.
Shall I find the tweet real quick? Like that he did with his eye?
Yeah. Obviously, before we get into the drama, but like I said, it's also nice that the pros and stuff like that watch our stuff and have a laugh with us because we are like a pretty
Look at this one.
no filter podcast. So what do you say here? But I'd like to hope if I'm not in pain and can see we put more of a fight in hard points. Yeah, no, listen, Reese. Listen, that's why I said, work on hard point.
Still would smash.
Work on hard point as a team.
Oh yeah, because he's topless here. Huh? Little thirst trap.
Yeah.
Thirst trap for the TL.
Why is Brody flank?
Got a shirt on.
Like
He got a shirt on. Reese.
He's getting the fucking shoulder blade in.
He is, yeah.
He's getting the collar
Look
in.
at the traps in. Oh, I'm putting in work.
We see what you're doing here, Reese. Like, yeah, your eyes fucked up, but the rest of you ain't blue-eyed. Get your blue eyes out of here, bro. Handsome ass motherfucker. Get out of here, bro.
Hey, the funny thing is, that's not even from the event. That was just him winking at a girl. He was just giving her a winking picture. He was using that as a clout.
Shout out he who enlightens with the 5. Drop the ads on the Tatchgram channel. Love it. Should be on a shirt. Expect OpTic to put in lots of work. Could Inda return to the greener wall? Zeo season. We haven't talked that much about Illy. I don't see it personally. I also don't see you're gonna drop Kenny for Illy. Like, I don't like it. The only reason why I see it makes sense is like if the game becomes more AR meta and OpTic decide that they really want to put Kenny on the sub, and then like Hook is gone again somehow, and Illy. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. I don't see that.
But Illy is he's gonna go to like a Rokkr, a Surge. He's going to go to a middle of the pack team, have to prove himself, and if he's unbelievable there, then he'll gradually make his way back to the top. But like he's too much of a we all know he's too much of a risk factor at this current time to like instantly go from challengers where he didn't even win the first like the big cup to then going to OpTic would make no sense. It just would blatantly make zero sense. I just got an ad for Master of the Medieval Warfare, and the guy in it looks exactly like Trey. Kingdom Come Deliverance. The guy looks exactly like Trey. Like I should have screenshotted. Holy hell!
What are you gonna say, Trey?
Sorry, my bad. What happened?
Vivid's comedy, bro. He's just straight comedy.
All right.
Back
to the drama.
All right. This is after the winners finals, and then this is after the grand finals. They were nearly scrapping and shit. Thoughts?
Well, so listen, do you think if DRAZAH doesn't reverse sweep him or beat him, let's say DRAZAH doesn't reverse sweep him, okay?
Okay.
Do you think he fist bumps Scrap?
Interesting. Like, would he do it as a loser?
I think he might do,
I think he fist bumps him.
I think he does fist bump him.
I actually think he doesn't fist bump him.
Now, you see what's crazy to me is Scrap's deemed like the villain of the league or whatever like that. And you try pushing this to the side. You try fist bumping him. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to like him. Sportsmanship, whatever like that. We heard that, beef has been squashed just to get on with it. Apparently not. Now listen, their PPAs are right fucking next to each other. They could go scrap it out if they really wanted to. I don't know what was said.
Definitely called him a B word on the walk when he turns his head and you can read his lips.
I'm locking in. I'm reading these lips.
At one point, I think he says I can see the B come out.
Here we go.
It does get tense though. I mean, it does get tense. To me, it's one of those cases where, like, yeah, they could be next to PPAs. Like, oh, should they go settle it? Nah, they shouldn't go settle it. A lot of times, if you're just trying to avoid the person you have a problem with, but you work together in this case. You compete in high intensity moments. So when you're literally crossing paths eye to eye with someone you don't like. That's very different than being in a PPA next to them. So in my mind, it's like, do we see this get build up? Do we ever see them scrap? I don't think so. But like, this is good for the esport. It's good drama. I want to know more from from both their sides about like how they. I would love for people to play into this a little bit more. I want interviewers to ask about it. I want to go do exclusive with one of the two of them. Probably not DRAZAH because they don't like me, but Scrap and ask him about like what's going on, how deep is it, you know, and like dig into this, utilize this for the drama and for the scene. This is good stuff here. This is like top tier quality stuff.
I don't even think it's that deep for Scrap though.
It's probably not.
Well, clearly not because he went to go fist bump him. Now to DRAZAH, it might be a little bit different. Listen, I don't give a fuck. You know, I really don't. But you know, we're treating it like it's Tyson Fury Usyk. Like Anthony Joshua Fury, like that level of hate. I think Scrap's matured a lot as a player.
I mean, look, to be fair to Scrap, he did try a fist bump him. DRAZAH didn't fist bump him again. He talked a bit of trash. DRAZAH then talked a bit of trash back, refused to fist bump him again. And then, you know, here we are. And it's going to make their next matchup even more spicy.
To be fair, if I was DRAZAH and somebody said the things that were said, I wouldn't be friendly nor fist bump nor acknowledge the human being that said that either. That's me, though.
It went both ways.
Not the same way, no.
I think both ways are pretty crazy if I remember the tweets right. But, I mean, it is a tale as old as time, in it, really. They're like, these boys had the, had the girlfriend-related stuff not come into play, probably there'd be no issue at all.
Well, okay, no.
But not like, to say it's not justified.
One is a girlfriend. One is not just a girlfriend.
Yeah, I do. I hear you on that.
You have to understand. If someone says that about, you know, my significant other, not a girlfriend, my significant other, you're dead to me. Like that's. I hope you understand. Like that. I don't know if y'all are like in that kind of thinking or have that kind of like level of it growing up. I would 100% think that person is absolutely dead to me, and fist bumps and maybe the work level fist bumps, sure. But at the same time, I can understand 100% DRAZAH being like, nah, really? I don't want to even breathe near you. I get that 100% too.
All over a goddamn 6-star hardpoint or a Rio, whichever it was called.
All over a fidget spinner,
Isn't it crazy?
Man. It's crazy.
Isn't it crazy? You know.
What did Nate have to say? I actually didn't see this.
All right, let me play the Nate Shot clip because I know people were asking for us to at least play some Nate Shot reactions here. So, this is what he had to say.
This bullshit, man. Why is everybody crybaby cheesy, man? Oh, what they doing? They didn't fist bump. Gives a fuck. Go cry about it, man.
I don't know. I'm pretty bummed they didn't fist bump.
Let's take a look. You know what I mean? Matt, are you pissed that DRAZAH didn't fist bump Scrap? Are you pissed?
A little bit.
Miami fan.
Why?
I think he needs to give it up, bro.
No, fuck that shit, man. Fuck that.
They're gonna be friends in like 5 years anyways. Might as well just start now.
It's been a lot of
now's the wrong place to start, though.
I'm telling you, bro. Every player in COD that's ever hated each other end up being cordial and friends when they're done competing. It's the way. It's the circle of life, brother.
Yeah, I don't know. They're saying no respect.
I love DRAZAH. It's not about that, bro. It's just fucking competition. It's male ego.
Obviously, the top side.
Me personally,
Atlanta FaZe.
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No, it's not that actually big of a deal. But I'll say this: if Scrap and DRAZAH were on a fucking team, those guys would be giggling in Discord into the wee hours of the morning.
I don't know about that.
No, if they never had their beef, bro, those guys ended up on the same team together. They would love each other.
Thieves finish the run.
They used to like each other.
Casters, take it away, Chip.
They used to like each other now. I don't know, man. There's been a lot said. There's been a lot said.
A lot has happened. A lot has happened.
A lot has happened. A lot.
That's for sure.
I don't think DRAZAH forgot about that. You know what I mean? I think he's still holding on to it.
And I respect that, bro. I'm down to hold a grudge. Fuck it.
I think there's also a bit of a talk about, like, you know, DRAZAH represented Nate Shot's organization at some point, so maybe he holds him in, like, a little bit higher esteem. But whatever. I understand both sides of this. Like, am I happy that in fist bump? Hell yeah, let's keep it moving.
No, I think Nate's take is also faded too. Like, oh, in 5 years they're gonna be cool. I think DRAZAH is gonna get all this FaZe money, go back to goddamn Alaska and be fishing the rest of his life. He's not going to give a shit about anyone else. So my whole thing, I don't think they're ever going to be friends. I don't think any of this stuff, I think this is completely different from any other case of shit talk in past COD history. It hasn't involved the type of things that it's involved and gotten as deep and serious and, you know, into the lore as this one is. So Nate is being hopeful and idealistic, which again, as a person, that's why we love Nate. We love who he is. We love his character and his energy. We love that. But I think he's a little bit off here with his belief that if they teamed right now, they'd be friends. I don't think they're never going to team. And outside a game, they're going to come back together once they retire. Nah, I think all of that is dead and dusted. And proof of it is literally right here. Like, this is not just competition. It's not just competition. It's deeper than that.
All right, gentlemen. We have been going for about 3 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah, buddy.
We did it again. We actually did it again. Boys, that's what we're going to call it for the show. Thanks all for watching. Thanks all for tuning in. Thanks all for tuning in throughout the weekend as well. It was an absolute pleasure. Met some of you guys in person, which was brilliant. Thanks, Toronto, for running a sensational event as always, and for all you guys watching live on the YouTube, after the fact on the YouTube, after the fact on the Spotify. Trey, any final thoughts before I throw to Ace to close out the show?
Nah, I'm just having a giggle with my old friend Reese Vivid. We go way back in the day to the point where, you know, even when I was dropped on New York, we were chilling in TeamSpeaks. You know, he was my go-to first pick in MW 2019. Money 8s and I was his, so we just chopping up shit right now. He's talking about his eye. He said, fuck all the NPCs. That should have said he'd been dropped. Should have said should have been dropped because he was playing like Captain Hook with one eye this weekend. It's still done better than any of you could in a rank play match, so just remember that. Listen, appreciate you guys for chilling on the show today. It was another absolute banger. Listen, Madrid was great. If you guys are in the chat and you did come up to see me, Rab, or just support us in any way, shape, or form, I appreciate you all, for real. It's an absolute pleasure. We were back.
Absolutely. That's Dope Check episode 45, 3 hours in. It's like the good old days, boys. We're running and riding and absolutely just take after take and silly goose time and good laughs. I hope everyone enjoyed the stream. I hope whether you're at work, at home, chilling, whatever you're doing right now, you enjoyed the time with us. We will be back next week for more Dope Check episode 46. We wish you guys well. We love you guys. And W stream, absolutely. See you guys. We're out.